You practice immortality. I cultivate the land. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 326. Fooder's intuition. The three of them crossed the dark waters in the most economical way and arrived at the edge of the deserted island. The deserted island was full of strange rocks, and there was no trace of any spiritual plants or monsters, but Xuan and others did not dare to slack off. There were a large number of ice toads distributed in the outermost waters. The deserted island was close to the palace. According to common sense, it would be more difficult to pass through. Sure enough, Xuan saw from a distance that a cultivator wanted to fly over the strange rocks. As soon as he started, he seemed to be pulled down by a force of 10,000 kilograms and fell to the ground with a plop. There is a forbidden air formation, and we can only shuttle from the ground. The three of them kept an eye on the movements in the depths of the deserted island and quickly joined other foundation building cultivators. After using various means for several times without any effect, everyone completely gave up the idea of flying over. These strange rocks are everywhere. I don't know what the mystery is inside. A beautiful woman stared at the pile of strange stones and said worriedly, "Try it and you will know." A sinister cultivator in a black robe released a multi-legged insect from a black cloth bag. The insects were crawling quickly on the ground. After advancing about 10 feet in an instant, suddenly, a rumbling sound was heard, and the strange rocks on both sides instantly combined into a pair of stone palms, beating the insects of the first grade demon beast level into meat paste. Then, the stone palms automatically collapsed and turned into jagged strange rocks again. The surface of the strange rocks squirmed, and the flesh and blood of the insects remaining on the surface quickly disappeared. Afterwards, there were also cultivators who released 7 or 8 first-grade demon beasts at the same time, rushing towards the palace from different directions, and the results were the same as those of the multi-legged insects. Not long after rushing in, they were easily solved by the many strange rocks on the ground in various ways. These strange rocks seem to form a strange formation. If other things invade the formation territory, they will be cleared by those strange rocks with many changes. A cultivator in the early stage of foundation building who was good at formations speculated, "No matter what formation it is, if they dare to block me from getting the opportunity, I will smash them into dust." The burly middle-aged monk who was seen outside before suddenly grew taller. His muscles continued to swell, and his veins bulged, turning into a giant of more than 10 feet. With a violent breath, he rushed directly into the strange rocks. Although the stone pile is a bit strange, judging from the attack power shown before, there should be no problem for the foundation building monks to pass through safely. Besides, there are nearly 20 people in the foundation building realm present. No matter how powerful a stone formation is, it can't trap so many people. Everyone, rely on your own ability. A cultivator in the middle stage of foundation building had a dark yellow spiritual light on his feet, as if he had merged with the soil on the ground and slid to the opposite side at a very fast speed. Xuan and the other two looked at each other and rushed into the stone pile together. As soon as he entered the stone maze, Xuan noticed something wrong. Xuan and the other man who had just rushed in with him disappeared without a trace. When his spiritual consciousness extended out to investigate the surrounding situation, it was only a few feet away and then fell into the sea. I can't see anything unusual outside, but I didn't expect that there would be these arrangements after entering. Well, it's just right to release myself a little, he thought secretly in his heart, and the spiritual power in his body surged wildly, and a delicate and small jade seal jumped out of the gluttonous insect sack. The Fengayu jade seal rose in the wind, and in an instant it turned into a jade mountain peak, smashing on the strange stone that suddenly turned into a giant stone palm. "You like to take pictures of things so much, so I'll take a picture of you." The huge stone palm with a length and width of more than half a foot was completely pressed down by the jade mountain peak and shattered into countless powder. The mountain peak turned into a delicate jade seal again and fell back into Xuan's hand. With a rustling sound, the thick powder was all melted into the ground. Before Xuan could react, a strong wind sounded in his ears, and a huge stone man waved a grey-black fist and smashed Xuan's head fiercely. Lu Xuan's palm turned into a crystal color, and he used his fist to collide with the gray-black stone fist head-on. He practiced the two major bodybuilding exercises of Liuli bone forging method and Taeksuhua Langpian, and took a large amount of golden marrow jade liquid and jade scale fruit to strengthen the body. The strength of his body was no weaker than many third-grade magic tools. Although the size difference was more than 10 times, it was the giant stone man who was defeated. From the fist to the shoulder, the stones continued to disintegrate and shatter, falling like rain. The giant stone man's body was about to dissipate, and the Fengaiyu jade seal in front of Lu Xuan instantly enlarged into a jade mountain peak, smashing it into countless powder. Lu Xuan then flashed and came to the left rear 3 feet, smashing a giant stone monster that was taking shape. But the difficulty of the strange stone was beyond his expectation. Lu Xuan solved the stone men and beasts one by one in a flash. Although they were broken into pieces, the strange stone seemed to be unaffected, and soon turned into a new stone man and beast again. No, this will only waste my spiritual power. Lu Xuan stopped and thought. The strange rocks keep changing into stone men and stone beasts to block my progress, and they also have extremely strange and powerful healing abilities. It's useless to stay in the formation and deal with them. Either find the array or the spiritual energy node of the array and break the array directly, or find a way to quickly pass through. It is absolutely difficult to trap more than 20 foundation building cultivators at the same time. If it is a 5th grade array, it will definitely not be this powerful. There must be a flaw somewhere. A crack suddenly appeared on Lu Xuan's palm, and the crack opened, revealing a gray-white pupil. Above him, 10 feet away, a gray-white pupil suddenly appeared from the void. Affected by the restriction, the pupil fell sharply the moment it appeared, and the eyeball almost fell out of the pupil. After all, the Void Nightmare Eye was a 5th grade treasure, and it quickly adapted to the influence of the restriction on it. The gray-white pupil kept scanning the surroundings. In the small pupil in Lu Xuan's palm, the scene seen by the Void Nightmare Eye appeared. On the entire deserted island, the stones were like a torrent, automatically rushing towards the foundation building monks who entered the island's territory. In other places, where people rarely go, there are few traces of strange stones. It turns out that they all rushed to the monks. Lu Xuan observed for a while, chose a direction with relatively fewer strange stones, and moved forward at a very fast speed. The spiritual consciousness did not play much role in the strange stone maze, so he used the master's level of earth drawing technique, using this basic technique to feel the changes in the underground rock structure, so as to react in the first time, and avoid direct collision with the strange stones. More than a moment later, Lu Xuan felt his body suddenly lighten. Finally walked out of the stone formation. Lu Xuan looked at the palace in the distance, and happened to see several escape lights rushing towards the mysterious palace. Judging from the figures, they should be the strongest ones among the foundation building monks. When Lu Xuan was about to follow and take a look, suddenly, a grey vine came out from his sleeve. The top was raised high, and nodded in another direction. Are you saying there are high-grade spiritual plants there? Lu Xuan asked curiously. The demon ghost vine nodded, and unknowingly secreted grey mucus. Okay, then trust your foodie instinct. Chapter 327 Longevity Peaches. The demon ghost vine is a 5th grade demon transformed spiritual plant obtained from the medicine garden in Langaiyu Blessed Land. It likes to eat spiritual seeds and branches and leaves of spiritual plants, and has an extremely keen sense of spiritual seeds. After obtaining it in the medicine garden, Lu Xuan followed its guidance, and fought for the 6th grade ancient spiritual plant, the phoenix tree, from 3 fellow disciples. Since it has such a reaction, it means that there must be high-grade spiritual plants ahead. Lead the way in front. If you really find high-grade spiritual seeds, you will definitely eat them after they are cultivated to maturity. Lu Xuan casually fed a large pancake. The grey vines of the demon ghost vine nodded excitedly, crawling like a great snake, leaving deep and shallow traces of mucus on the ground. After a while, Lu Xuan followed the demon ghost vine to a desolate medicine garden. Most of the spiritual plants in the medicine garden have dried up and look withered. A small part is growing normally. There are bones of monsters left on the ground, which immediately turn into broken bones when stepped on. There's something wrong with this medicine garden. A cool breath came from the immaculate jade hanging around Lu Xuan's neck, which meant that there was an evil breath hidden in the medicine garden. Fortunately, the cool feeling had not risen to the freezing level, which meant that the evil breath was completely under his control. He carefully observed the surroundings, and after confirming that no one was abnormal, he walked towards the center of the medicine garden. The further he went in, the more desolate the medicine garden became, but at the very center, there was a peach tree with lush branches and leaves. The peach tree was filled with spiritual energy, and a fresh fragrance came from afar, making people unable to help but get close to it. Xuan was about to cast a spiritual rain spell to see if he could get information about the peach tree. Suddenly, countless nearly transparent silk threads emerged from the surface of the hidden spiritual cloak on his body, instantly hiding Xuan's entire body. There seemed to be a thin layer of special substance in front of his eyes, and he felt alienated and unreal when he looked at many things in the medicine garden. He noticed someone approaching. After a few breaths, 2 foundation building monks followed a butterfly with spiritual patterns on its wings to the peach tree. An old man with a gloomy temperament and a thin old woman. I didn't expect that there are really high-grade spiritual plants here. The thin old woman's face was covered with wrinkles like gullies. She stretched out her hand and beckoned, and the butterfly that was originally flying around the peach tree fell back into her hand. Thanks to Madam Bay for having this spiritual pattern butterfly, it can detect the spiritual energy of plants and trees contained in the spiritual plants. Otherwise it would not be so easy to find. The gloomy old man was Ningdeshan, who had met Xuan several times. At this moment, he stared at the peach tree that exuded an alluring fragrance and whispered. The thin old woman was called Madam Bay, the owner of a small island in the archipelago. The two had known each other for a long time, and had a friendship of nearly 100 years. Therefore, after entering the secret realm, they invited each other to explore opportunities and treasures together. She raised a spirit pattern butterfly, which had a keen sense of various spiritual plants. With its guidance, they were able to quickly find the spiritual peach tree. This spiritual peach seems to have an unusual origin. Does fellow Daoist Ning know its origin? The thin old woman asked Ningdeshan. Like you, Madam Bay, I have never seen this kind of spiritual plant. Ningdeshan shook his head. It doesn't matter. After taking it out of the secret realm, I can give it to the monks of the Great Chamber of Commerce for identification. There are exactly 6 spiritual peaches. Why don't we each take half? What do you think, fellow Daoist Ning? Madam Bay suggested. Everything is subject to fellow Daoist Bay's arrangements. How about this, fellow Daoist Bay? You go forward and pick the 6 spiritual peaches, and I will monitor and protect them on the side to prevent any bad guys or monsters from attacking. Okay please, fellow Daoist Ning. A pure white long silk floated out of the old woman's sleeves and flew around her. The long silk is a 3rd grade defensive magic weapon with good defensive capabilities. She took a step forward, crossed a distance of 5 or 6 feet, and came to the bottom of the spiritual peach tree. With Ningdeshan's supervision and her pure white long silk magic weapon, she felt very relieved. She reached out and picked a pink and tender spiritual peach, couldn't help but smell it, and then put it on a silver plate. Fellow Daoist Ning, this spiritual peach. She turned around and was about to tell him that the grade of the spiritual peach was better than expected, when suddenly, a black light as fast as lightning passed through the long silk barrier and instantly came to her chest. How dare you sneak attack me? Before the old woman could react, a black bone claw pierced deeply into her heart. Looking up, she saw that one of Ningdeshan's arms had turned into a dry black claw, standing not far away and looking at her coldly. Before she could react, another shuttle-shaped magic weapon shot at her at a high speed, and the majestic spiritual energy broke through her entire sea of consciousness. The heart-locking claw secret technique, plus the sneak attack of the 3rd grade magic weapon, should make her dead. Ningdeshan came to her after confirming that the old woman was completely dead. The black bone claw jumped out of her heart and merged into the withered arm. Under the effect of the healing pill, the withered arm continued to grow new muscles, but it looked much smaller than the other normal arm. This is a secret technique called the heart-locking claw that he mastered, which can burn the blood and muscles on the arm and instantly burst out extremely powerful power. Coupled with the sneak attack of the shuttle-shaped magic weapon and his deep understanding of his friend, he was able to completely solve it in just a few breaths. Don't blame me for being so ruthless. This longevity peach is really too important to me. One longevity peach can add 5 to 10 years of life. Even if the effect is weakened after repeated use, it can extend my life for a long time. How can I be willing to share such a treasure with you? Ningdeshan said sinisterly to the old woman's body on the ground with a fake smile. He knew that his time was coming, so he went through a lot of trouble to collect elixirs, spiritual fruits, and secret techniques that could increase his lifespan. He accidentally saw an introduction to this spiritual peach in a book. The spiritual peach is called the multi-life peach, a 5th grade spiritual plant. After eating it, it can increase the lifespan of the cultivator by 5 to 10 years depending on the cultivator's cultivation. This is a priceless treasure for Ningdeshan, who has a short lifespan. After seeing the spiritual peach, he recognized its origin at first sight. His desire for longevity far exceeded his friendship with the thin old woman, so he attacked and killed her without hesitation. With these 6 multi-life peach, my lifespan can be extended by several decades. If I'm lucky, I may be able to break through to the middle stage of foundation building and change my fate. Ningdeshan seemed to see a wonderful scene in his future and couldn't suppress the smile on his lips. He took a deep breath, restrained his inner joy, and quickly approached the multi-life peach tree while vigilantly scanning the surroundings. My lifespan. The moment he was about to touch the pink and white peach, his outstretched arm couldn't help but tremble slightly. With so many peaches that can increase your lifespan, aren't you afraid that you will eat too much and not live to a ripe old age? Suddenly, a light laugh sounded. Chapter 328, Underworld Service. Is it you? Deo Ayalu from the Heavenly Sword Sect. I didn't expect to meet you here. The sudden voice made Ningdeshan's heart chill. He looked in the direction of the voice and saw a handsome young man smiling at him. This secret realm is not big, but it is not small either. It is fate that I can meet Deo Ayaling in this abandoned medicine garden. Lu Xuan held an ancient sword sheath in his hand and kept a distance from the old man Jiu. Yes, I found a longevity peach tree here with 6 peaches on it. How about I share it with Deo Ayalu? Ningdeshan asked tentatively. I dare not share the peaches with Deo Ayaling, otherwise I will not get the peaches, but be torn into pieces. Lu Xuan looked at the corpse of the old woman on the ground and said meaningfully. Ningdeshan's expression suddenly became much gloomier. It seems that Deo Ayalu has seen something he shouldn't have seen. Well, it's just right to end it with you. I remember the matter of the spirit fish clearly, he said in a harsh voice. Lu Xuan caused heavy losses to his entire Ning family, and he witnessed his dirty deeds with his own eyes, so he couldn't let him stay. From the information he collected, although Lu Xuan came from a well-known large sect in the cultivation world such as the Xianjian sect, he was with spiritual plants almost every day, and was just a spiritual plant master who was good at spiritual plants. Therefore, he had more confidence in fighting with Lu Xuan. He was determined to get the Duo Xiao Panteo spiritual fruit. Before he finished speaking, a shuttle-shaped magic weapon rushed towards Lu Xuan at a high speed. As fast as lightning, Lu Xuan came in front of him. Before he could react, Lu Xuan was not afraid at all. The purple lightning sword carried a thunderous arc of electricity and hit the middle part of the shuttle-shaped magic weapon. Ningdeshan naturally didn't think that an ordinary 3rd grade magic weapon could pose a huge threat to Lu Xuan. His arm, which had just recovered more than half, was surging with black light, and a large amount of flesh and blood was melted. The thick arm instantly shrank into a piece of dead wood. The palm turned into a black claw, almost ignoring the distance between him and Lu Xuan, and instantly clawed towards Lu Xuan's heart. Lu Xuan did not think of dodging, but faced it head on, his arms glowing crystal jade color, his hands crossed, blocking his chest. Faintly a dragon roar was heard, and dense scales instantly grew in front of his arms. With the colored glaze bone and the brief half-dragon transformation of his arms, Lu Xuan blocked Ningdeshan's heart-locking claw secret technique safely. Ningdeshan was horrified. Although his blood and energy had not recovered to the best condition, the continuous use of the heart-locking claw secret technique was a great burden on his body. But even if it was a slightly weaker secret technique, it was not something that a cultivator in the early stage of foundation building could block so easily. I didn't expect you to hide so deeply, Ningdeshan exclaimed. Such a strong body, even for a cultivator in the middle or late stage of foundation building, is not something that everyone can possess. He made a prompt decision, regardless of the multi-life peach fruit that was extremely attractive to him, and turned to flee quickly outside the medicine garden. If he continued to stay here, not to mention that he could still eat the peaches and increase his lifespan, even if he could maintain his lifespan unchanged, it would be very satisfying. It would be better to escape first, and then look for an opportunity to snatch the multi-life peach fruit from Xuan. Xuan had already exposed part of his strength in front of him, so he would naturally not let him leave so easily. 10 feet in front of Ningdeshan, a wide crack suddenly appeared in the void, and a grey-white pupil emerged from the crack, meeting the eyes of the old man Jiu. In an instant, Ningdeshan seemed to have entered a world of illusion, lost in the layers of phantoms. He knew that something was wrong, so he protected his mind, embraced Yuan Xiaoyi, and bit himself tightly with the tip of his tongue. A strong smell of blood came, which made him break free from the illusion. He was delighted, and regardless of the empty nightmare in the air, he quickly fled to the other side. Shoot it, spear. A clear voice sounded, and then a white bone spear came from behind in an instant, and pierced him directly. Then, the white bone demon puppet remaining in his body changed rapidly, and produced countless slender tentacle-like bone spurs, which drilled out of his body with Ningd Mountain as a center. The old man Jiu soon became a hedgehog-like existence. A green light flew out from his crown, and flew away at a speed faster than lightning. Xuan stood still, and took out a strange lantern from his storage bag. He grabbed the bone-like handle of the lantern with one hand, and the lampshade seemed to be covered with human skin. After Xuan injected spiritual power into it, he swung it wantonly in the air. The lantern is called the Soul Guiding Lamp, a 4th grade magic weapon. It was a light ball reward that Xuan had once opened in a ghost-faced stone mushroom, a spiritual plant in the underworld. It can attract ghosts within a certain range. After burning the resentful souls on the candle, it can cause chaos in the minds of monks and monsters. The soul guiding lamp was held in the air by Xuan. Under the lamp holder, countless dark red lamp wicks like tentacles swayed gently, as if attracting companions to join. Ningdeshan's soul did not escape far before it felt an amazing attraction coming from the vicinity of the spiritual peach, and involuntarily retreated to the front of the soul guiding lamp. Many dark red lamp wicks entangled the green light and pulled it under the lampshade. Under the pale candle, the densely packed ghosts and resentful thoughts suddenly appeared in it. Judging from the shape of the facial features, it was 70% similar to Ningdeshan. After Ningdeshan's soul and body were all dealt with, Xuan held a 3rd grade cleansing talisman and came to the corpse. The white light fell, and there was no abnormality on the corpse, so he was completely relieved. It can be said that it is fully utilized. Xuan looked at Ningdeshan's resentful soul in the soul guiding lamp and thought secretly, a resentful soul in the foundation building realm is worth more than 100 ordinary ones. In addition, there is the flesh and blood of the foundation building realm. Although the meat is a bit old, if you encounter any netherworld spiritual plants that need flesh and blood in the future, you can use it to fatten them. Xuan adheres to the principle of not wasting. With a thought, the bone spurs derived from the white bone demon puppet were quickly retracted, and Ningdeshan's tattered body returned to Xuan. The space in the gluttonous insect sack is extremely huge, and it can keep the items in their original state. There is no need to worry about them deteriorating inside, turning into corpses, etc. As for the corpse, left by the old monk, the two had no grudges, so Xuan cast a fireball spell, burned her to black ash, and then cast the earth attracting spell to bury the ashes in the spiritual soil. The evil spiritual plants in the netherworld courtyard are very suitable. The 5th grade void nightmare eyes are elusive, and the illusion delays the enemy. The 4th grade white bone demon puppet is changeable and a killing weapon. The 4th grade soul guiding lamp attracts souls and completely destroys the corpse on that level. Plus the 1000 monster masks that can conceal the true face. It can be considered a one-stop service in the underworld. Unfortunately, my background as a cultivator of a large sect and my identity as an ordinary spiritual plant master are somewhat inconsistent. I can only offer this service under certain specific circumstances. Xuan thought with some regret. Chapter 329, Mutated Spiritual Seed. After getting rid of Ningdeshan, his and the old woman's storage bags naturally fell into Xuan's hands. In the end, Xuan searched for several magic tools, talismans, and elixirs from them, and their storage bags. There were 3 3rd grade magic tools, the shuttle-shaped magic tool on Ningdeshan, the long silk magic tool of the old woman, and a 3rd grade flying sword. In addition, there was a broken 3rd grade armor, which was pierced by the bone spurs derived from the white bone demon puppet, and became a waste. The rest were some 2nd grade magic tools. Several 3rd grade talismans were also found in the 2 storage bags, all of which were of average quality, and several bottles of elixirs. Xuan didn't know much about elixirs and only recognized 3 common elixirs. The 2 casual cultivators who came from the foundation building stage are a bit shabby. There's nothing suitable for me to use. I can only find an opportunity to sell them, and exchange them for some spirit stones. Xuan sighed secretly. At this moment, he further understood how honored he was to have the light ball reward. Even the fellow foundation building disciples in the sect could not have 3 grade or higher magical instruments, and treasures all over their bodies, not to mention the foundation building casual cultivators in this archipelago. With their wealth and opportunities, it was extremely common to have 1 or 2 3rd grade magical instruments. Therefore, when this secret realm appeared, the foundation building cultivators in the archipelago and surrounding areas rushed to compete for that illusory opportunity. And with his current wealth, even compared with the true disciples in the Xianjian sect, he still had a good chance of winning. The reserves of 3rd grade and 4th grade magical instruments and treasures might not be so abundant, but the reserves of 5th grade ones could at least be on paragraph. An idea flashed through Xuan's mind, and he focused his attention on the spiritual peach tree in front of him. After he hid his body, he learned from the Ninged Mountain Pass that the spiritual peach was called Duo Xiao Panteo, a 5th grade spiritual plant, which could add 5 to 10 years of life after swallowing. Although he already knew the origin of the spiritual peach, Xuan did not dare to underestimate it at all. After all, the immaculate jade on his neck had been continuously inputting a cool breath. Xuan, stood up, and with a thought, the void nightmare eyes swam in the void around him, appearing out of thin air, and disappearing in an instant, with mysterious whereabouts. The grey-white pupils in his hands showed what the void nightmare eyes saw very well. Xuan's spiritual consciousness extended into the spiritual soil, and then the master's earth drawing technique was performed. The spiritual soil structure near the roots of the Duo Xiao peach changed slightly, so that he could understand its detailed information. Different longevity peach, a 5th grade spiritual plant that has mutated. The Duo Xiao peach has been unable to meet the cultivation conditions for a long time. Under the constant invasion of evil auras, it has mutated into a new spiritual plant. Originally, it needed a cultivator or monster with vigorous vitality to cultivate and nourish it day and night. After the mutation, it will invisibly take the vitality of the surrounding cultivators and monsters, and has a strong desire for the essence of flesh and blood. Mature different longevity peach can increase lifespan after consumption, and at the same time, it will accumulate evil auras in the body of the swallower. When it reaches a certain level, it will cause the risk of alienation of the cultivator or monster. It turned out to be a mutated spiritual plant, which changed from a normal longevity peach to an evil longevity peach. No wonder the immaculate jade reacted. Xuan sighed secretly. Both the cultivation method and the effect of taking it are a bit more weird than before. However, as long as the grade remains unchanged, it is a good spiritual plant. For him, whether it is normal or evil, as long as it is a 5th grade spiritual plant, it means a reward of a rich light ball, and the type of spiritual plant is not so important. As for the mature longevity peach spiritual fruit, he has the lotus seeds of the earth fireheart lotus that he just picked not long ago. After taking it, it will purify and eliminate the alien aura in the body, so there is no need to worry about the negative effects. Not to mention that he is young, and does not need to worry about the lifespan. However, it is hard to find a long life in the cultivation world. Ningdeshan may have thought that he had found a great opportunity, but he didn't expect that this longevity peach is 70% effective and 30% poisonous, which can only be regarded as drinking poison to quench thirst. After learning the details of the spiritual peach tree, Xuan was completely relieved, and carefully picked the remaining 5 pink and white spiritual peaches on the longevity peach. The spiritual peaches rolled around in the silver plate. If you get close, you can smell a fresh milky fragrance and feel the most primitive and lively vitality hidden in them. After picking all the longevity peaches, in Lu Xuan's surprised eyes, the spiritual peach tree slowly withered, as if all the vitality in the plant left with the falling of the spiritual fruits. It's really not easy to persist in this medicine garden for so long. Perhaps it is because of the transformation into longevity peaches that it has found a glimmer of life and survived until now. Lu Xuan sighed secretly, called out the demon ghost vine, and communicated with his mind. Try to sense whether there are any spiritual seeds of the longevity peach hidden in the spiritual soil. The top vine of the demon ghost vine nodded excitedly, and then the body continued to split into many grey tentacles, extending in all directions. Soon, a grey tentacle circled the ground, sniffing from time to time. Then, after obtaining Lu Xuan's consent, it suddenly drilled into the spiritual soil. In Lu Xuan's spiritual sense, the demon ghost vine went 5 or 6 feet deep into the spiritual soil and took out a strange thing from it. A dark red peach pit. The peach pit was embedded in a mass of solidified flesh and blood, and the surface gullies were filled with the essence of flesh and blood, flowing slowly. Inside the peach pit, a strong vitality came, as if the heart was beating violently. So it is this way to maintain vitality. Lu Xuan sighed secretly. After the 5th grade longevity peach accidentally condensed into a spiritual seed, under the condition that it could not be cultivated, relying on the instinct to continue the offspring, it wrapped the spiritual seed with the essence of flesh and blood, and hid it deep in the spiritual soil, nourishing the spiritual seed, while isolating it from the spiritual energy, eliminating the possibility of its growth and germination. However, now that I have found you, you don't have to worry about whether you can grow smoothly. I will take care of you meticulously and make you mature as soon as possible. He looked at the dark red peach core in his hand and put it into the gluttonous insect capsule. This time, coming to the medicine garden, Lu Xuan was very satisfied with the 5th grade longevity peach mutant spiritual seed and solving the Ning mountain with which he had a lot of conflicts. However, he did not intend to stop there and give up the opportunity to enter the mysterious palace. After preparing for so long, breaking through to the middle stage of foundation building, and harvesting several high-grade spiritual plants, and obtaining rare treasures such as the Void Nightmare Eye and the Pure Yang True Fire Scroll, how could he not enter the treasure palace? Although Lu Xuan was always cautious, he had many treasures to protect him at this time, and his confidence in himself reached a peak. Therefore, the Void Nightmare Eyes kept wandering around him, appearing and disappearing from time to time, paying close attention to the movements around him. The Yangtze sword sheath was hanging on his waist, and the 4th grade Wind and Thunder sword was ready to go. The Xiaohe sword talisman, the Great Sun sword talisman, and the Starfall sword talisman were in his sleeves, ready to burst out with the Sky High sword intent at any time. With such full preparation, he quickly left the abandoned medicine garden and sneaked towards the palace. Chapter 330 The Advantages in Me. Outside the mysterious palace, a foundation building monk flew from a distance in a hurry and landed outside the palace passage. He had been entangled with the ice illusion toad monsters for a long time in the deep black waters and was delayed for a long time in the strange stone formation. He knew that he was far behind others. At this moment, he was anxious and wanted to rush into the palace as quickly as possible. There were many magic marks and forbidden auras left in the passage. They should be the traces left by the monks who first entered the palace to break through the restrictions. The monk's spiritual consciousness scanned the passage and found nothing unusual, so he flew into the palace at a high speed. Suddenly, a cold sword light came towards him, cutting a deep crack in the defensive magic weapon on his body. 2 early foundation building monks came out from nowhere and attacked from the front and back. 2 against 1. Another sneak attack. The monks who tried to enter the palace were easily solved after a few encounters. The second one. The 2 sneak attackers, one was a middle-aged man in a grey shirt with an ordinary appearance, and the other was a one-eyed monk. The other blind eye was wrapped in a black cloth, and there was a faint black air leaking out of it. I really admire this plan, fellow Daoist Lee. The one-eyed monk sighed as he looted the dead monk's wealth. There is no other way. There are too many foundation building monks entering the palace this time, and they are too strong. With our strength, we can only be cannon fodder. It is better for us to think of other ways to obtain opportunities and treasures. The middle-aged man in grey weighed the storage bag in his hand and took out a large number of talismans and elixirs from it. That's right. The monks who came into the secret realm only wanted to enter the palace as quickly as possible. They didn't expect that someone would hold back the great opportunity and wait at the entrance to attack them. The opportunity didn't come, but it became our opportunity. The one-eyed monk sneered, and the black air leaking from the black cloth became more intense. Thanks to your hidden magic weapon, fellow Daoist, we were able to take the initiative and easily eliminate the target who entered the palace by surprise. The two praised each other. We still have to be more careful. Although my concealment magic weapon is good, it is difficult to achieve results in front of disciples in the middle stage of foundation building, or from large sects. The two of them divided the spoils of war such as talismans and elixirs equally, and the one-eyed monk said coldly, "Of course, even if we succeed in sneak attacking, we can't easily kill the cultivators in the middle stage or even the late stage of foundation building. And those disciples from large sects have all kinds of strange secret techniques and treasures, so it is difficult to sneak attack them. So we can only attack those from small families or those who are early stage of foundation building. We can't delay here for too long. Before the monks who entered the palace come out one after another, we will kill one more fat sheep and leave the secret realm." Okay. A layer of silver white gauze appeared on the two people, and spiritual power emerged from the gauze, covering the two people's figures and disappearing. What the two people didn't know was that above their heads, a crack quietly appeared in the void, and a grey-white pupil squeezed out of the crack, taking in every move of the two people. I didn't expect there would be such a trap at the entrance of the mysterious palace. Lu Xuan's expression was grim, and the pupils in his palms reflected the scene seen by the void nightmare eyes. The two foundation building monks who hid at the entrance of the passage and attacked others were also ingenious. They actually gave up the huge opportunity that was right in front of them, keenly grasped the psychology of other monks, and successfully attacked. Should I go through that passage? Lu Xuan rubbed his chin. The entire palace is set up with restrictions everywhere. The restrictions in that passage were opened by the foundation building monk who entered first. If you want to bypass those two people and enter from other passages, it will take more time. If you are unlucky, you will need to break the restrictions yourself. The two ambushed in the passage, and the advantage is that they caught the enemy by surprise, but now they have become my first move. I can take advantage of the flaws they hide in the magic weapon and sneak attack them first. With the strength of the two, I can definitely deal with it easily. Lu Xuan thought of this and made a decision in his heart in an instant, intending to force his way through the passage. If the two had a bit of foresight, he would pretend that he had not noticed. If the two were seeking their own death and attacking by surprise, he would deal with them. Outside the passage, Lu Xuan drove a sword light and stumbled to the entrance of the passage. His eyes were covered with a layer of hazy spiritual light. Under the pupil breaking technique, the two early foundation building monks hiding in the silver white gauze had nowhere to hide, and their blurred figures could be vaguely seen. Lu Xuan's acting was realistic. He first looked around the entrance of the passage, confirmed that there was no ambush, and then entered the passage carefully. As he got closer and closer to the mysterious palace, the caution on his face disappeared rapidly, replaced by ease and joy. Under the silver white gauze, the middle-aged man in grey shirt and the one-eyed monk looked at each other and instantly understood each other's thoughts. The two were quite familiar with Lu Xuan and knew that he was a disciple of the Xianjian sect stationed on this deserted island. So, when they saw Lu Xuan for the first time, they subconsciously wanted to let him go. But he immediately recalled the evaluation of Lu Xuan by other foundation building monks. He spent all day with spiritual plants, neglected his cultivation, and had no ambition to make progress. Thinking of this, the two of them became active. Coming from a great sect means that he has many treasures on him. The identity of a spiritual plant master means that he is not good at fighting. It can be predicted that he has not experienced much life and death experience, and he may be confused when facing a sudden attack. In addition, he is only in the early stage of foundation building. The advantage is on me. It is stable. The two looked at each other. The spiritual energy in his body surged wildly, and the one-eyed monk suddenly removed the cover of the silver-white gauze, and Lu Xuan's back appeared clearly in front of the two. Flying swords and talismans attacked the big fat sheep in the eyes of the two. As soon as he showed his figure, the two heard sharp sword whistles. Countless dark sword intentions swept towards the two like a raging sea. The momentum was huge, like the power of heaven. There was no escape, no block. Fellow Daoist, spare me. Before the two begged for mercy, they were buried by the endless sword energy like the waves. The sword energy dissipated, and the passage was clean. Occasionally, you could see some dark red flesh and blood, and the remains of magic tools. If you don't look carefully, it's hard to find them. Well, it's a good opportunity to use up the 4th grade Xiaohe sword talisman. In Lu Xuan's hand, a talisman that was neither gold nor jade, shaped like a sword tip, silently collapsed and fell to the ground. This 4th grade Xiaohe sword talisman was the first reward from the sword raising god. When I was in Langayu Blessed Land, I used up most of the sword energy in it to fight for the Phoenix Tree. In order to make a quick decision this time, and not waste time on these two sneak attackers, Lu Xuan also activated the Xiaohe sword talisman, which still had a little sword energy left. In this way, there are still 4 4th grade sword talismans left. It's a pity about the magical instruments and talismans on their bodies. Although it is unlikely that the two of them have any rare treasures on them, even a mosquito leg still counts. Lu Xuan looked at the place where the two bodies were destroyed with great regret, and his figure flew into the palace like a floating light. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 331, Medicine Beast. The interior of the palace was extremely spacious, with traces of various prohibitions and spells left everywhere, showing how fiercely the cultivators who first entered it had experienced. Lu Xuan was like a wisp of green smoke, running at high speed in the palace. After a while, he stopped at the door of a wide alchemy room. After scanning the inside with his spiritual sense, and finding nothing unusual, he lightly entered the alchemy room. Before he was about to search the alchemy room carefully, suddenly, a gentle female cultivator followed him and broke in. Seeing Lu Xuan, she was stunned at first, and then her expression relaxed. It turned out to be fellow Daoist Lu. Fellow Daoist Qi, what a coincidence, I met you in the palace. Lu Xuan had some impression of this gentle female cultivator. He had met her once at the auction, organized by the Aurora Chamber of Commerce. She married another cultivator in the early stage of foundation building, and lived a secluded life on a small island. According to Zhang, the gentle female cultivator had very good attainments in alchemy. Your husband and wife have always been inseparable, so why is fellow Daoist Qi alone? Where is fellow Daoist Zhang? Lu Xuan's eyes were filled with a hint of vigilance. The two were good at joint attacks, and they had a deep relationship, so they rarely acted separately. My husband has gone to other places in the palace. If fellow Daoist Lu wants to see him, I can call him over. When one female cultivator said with a smile. She and her husband had long lost contact when they passed through the strange stone formation. After entering the palace, they were affected by various factors and acted separately. But she did not dare to show any fear in front of Lu Xuan, fearing that Lu Xuan would have bad intentions. Haha, that's not necessary. This is not a good place to talk about friendship. Lu Xuan looked at the grey-white pupil in his hand very obscurely and smiled. Fellow Daoist Lu, why don't we two be harmonious and search an area of this alchemy room separately? When one female cultivator suggested. Just do as fellow Daoist Qi said. Lu Xuan was not a person who killed indiscriminately. Seeing when one female cultivator's attitude, he naturally followed her advice. The two held magic tools and talismans, and were on guard against each other, choosing an area to search carefully. A faint smell of medicine lingered in the alchemy room. In the middle area, there were more than 10 alchemy furnaces, each with a restriction. Seeing that the quality was average, Lu Xuan gave up the idea of breaking the restriction, and taking away the alchemy furnace. On each side of the wall, There were tall wooden racks, on which there were still some spiritual medicines, but they had become very dry, and the medicinal properties inside had all been lost. They turned into various powders with a slight touch. Did Daoist fellow Lu find anything? When one, a female cultivator, carefully searched the area that belonged to her, but did not find anything valuable. She came to Lu Xuan and asked him. No, just some dried herbs and some worthless alchemy furnaces. Lu Xuan replied indifferently. I have the same over there. The female cultivator sighed lightly and went back to search carefully again. Daoist fellow Lu, I won't waste time here. Goodbye. Soon, she said to Lu Xuan from a distance and left the alchemy room directly. Lu Xuan nodded gently, frowning and thinking. He always felt that something was wrong here. There is nothing in the alchemy furnace. Every base, inner wall and other parts of the alchemy furnace have been carefully checked. No recipes were found. All the spiritual medicines on the medicine shelf have withered. So, where did the hint of medicinal fragrance I smelled just now come from? After being promoted to the foundation building stage and his physical body was repeatedly upgraded, Lu Xuan's 5 senses reached an extremely powerful realm. He sniffed deeply and once again keenly sensed a faint medicinal fragrance in the alchemy room. The medicinal fragrance seemed to be there and not there. When Lu Xuan stepped out of the alchemy room, he could not detect it. It seems that there should be something hidden in it. A layer of hazy substance appeared outside Lu Xuan's pupils. With the addition of the delusion-breaking pupil technique, he found that there were several faint spiritual lights in the alchemy room. The spiritual light floated and swam in the alchemy room without any rules. Even with Lu Xuan's current spiritual consciousness in the middle stage of foundation building, he could not normally spy on its existence. However, it is not enough to just discover the spiritual light. These spiritual lights are really ethereal and elusive. We must find a way to make them appear. Lu Xuan was thinking, and suddenly an idea came to him. He took out a second-grade Yunling pill from his storage bag. Since it is the alchemy room, then the pill may be able to solve the current situation. The spiritual power supported the Yunling pill and floated in the air of the alchemy room. Under the breaking delusion eye technique, the spiritual lights gathered towards the pill with the Yunling pill as the center. It really works. Lu Xuan was delighted. He focused his mind on the Yunling pill, and suddenly, an idea flashed through his mind. Medicine ZHI, a 4th grade alien insect, larvae stage, almost invisible and colorless. It likes to eat the pill poison contained in the alchemy furnace and pills during the alchemy process. It can automatically clean and maintain the alchemy furnace, ensure the quality of the alchemy furnace, and slightly improve the quality of the pills. It's worth it to have such a delicious food. Medicine beast. So that's where it came from. Lu Xuan felt the thoughts of the so-called medicine beast transmitted from the spiritual light and couldn't help laughing. It likes to devour the alchemy furnace. The poison in the elixir can be called arsenic to others and honey to me. Medicines are 3-point poisonous. Although elixirs have various magical effects such as improving and restoring spiritual power and treating injuries, they contain mild poison. The lower the quality of the elixir, the more poison it contains. The poison lurks in the body of the cultivator. Over the years, it will have a negative impact on the cultivator's normal practice and breakthrough. The poison in the elixir furnace is even worse. However, this medicine beast can devour and remove the poison in the elixir furnace and elixir, maintain the elixir furnace, and improve the quality of the elixir. For the alchemist, it can be said to be the best assistant. It's still in the larvae stage. You can catch it and raise it. Lu Xuan had a strong interest in the larvae of the medicine beast. However, the problem in front of him is how to catch the larvae of the medicine beast. Although its position has been roughly determined, the Yaozi itself is ethereal and invisible. If you are not careful, it is likely to alarm the opponent. Therefore, you must hit it with one shot and successfully capture it in one go. Lu Xuan took out a 4th grade Xuan iron pill from the storage bag and increased the power of bewitching. Xuan iron pill comes from the light ball reward from the ghost-faced stone mushroom. It is a great tonic for ghost cultivators, yin beasts, etc. Its grade is 2 levels higher than Yunling pill. It is naturally more tempting to Yaozi. Under Lu Xuan's breaking delusion pupil technique, he found that the spiritual light surrounding the Xuan iron pill was slightly brighter. He quietly took out the white bone demon puppet and threw it towards the Xuan iron pill in the air. Go, white bone ball. When the dense white bone ball approached the Xuan iron pill, it suddenly turned into a giant net, catching the pill and the nearby Yaozi in one net. Before Yaozi could react, many net holes quickly formed a thin layer of periosteum, making the entire white bone giant net airtight. Then, under the control of Lu Xuan's spiritual consciousness, the giant net continued to shrink, compressing the range of Yaozi's activities. Chapter 330 to Jade Pool Treasures. After more than 10 breaths, Yaozi, whose living space was constantly squeezed by Lu Xuan, finally gradually revealed its body. It was almost invisible and colorless, but it showed a translucent form in the narrow space, like a soft-bodied insect without legs, flowing around like liquid, trying to find an opportunity to break out of the giant net. Despite the difficulties, it still tightly wrapped the 4th grade Xuan iron pill, which showed how hard and simple it had lived for so many years. Follow me, I will take you out, and let you suck the pill as much as you want. Lu Xuan's spiritual consciousness conveyed such a thought to Yaozi. The light group after the spiritual plant matured often opened pill rewards, so he didn't worry about not being able to provide Yaozi with a good living environment. At the same time, he had absorbed the 2 pill recipes of Puan pill and Yunling pill. The sect's spiritual field also planted Kangyuan grass for refining foundation building pills. It can be foreseen that there will probably be rewards for the recipe of foundation building pills. Yaozi did not respond to Lu Xuan's invitation. Lu Xuan had no choice but to seal it with the white bone magic puppet and subdue it when he had free time. After putting the medicine beast and the white bone demon puppet into the gluttonous insect capsule, Lu Xuan took a deep breath. The faint medicinal fragrance lingering in the alchemy room disappeared, replaced by a decayed smell that had been generated for many years. He left the elixir and rushed to the center of the palace. He could feel the violent fluctuations of spiritual energy from a distance. Lu Xuan suddenly stopped and looked at a corpse lying on the ground with a solemn expression. The lower half of the corpse on the ground disappeared, and the only remaining upper half was also without flesh and blood, leaving only an empty shell. I don't know what it experienced before death. The mortality rate in this secret realm is a bit high. Lu Xuan sighed secretly. Since entering the secret realm, he has discovered, or personally solved, that at least 6 foundation building monks have fallen here, which made Lu Xuan, who has not had much experience in exploring secret realms, feel a little emotional. Well, 3 of them were killed by me. Thinking of this, he regained his calm. With my current cultivation and various rare treasures, I should worry about other cultivators. Since I'm here, I must go in and take a look, but I need to hide my identity. About to enter the center of the secret realm and compete with other foundation building cultivators for opportunities, Lu Xuan decided to conceal his true cultivation and treasures for the time being and not expose his true cultivation and treasures to everyone. Thinking of this, he took out the 4th grade Qian Chang weird mask from his storage bag. The light gray mask was as thin as a cicada's wing. After wearing it on the face, it seemed as if a thin layer of skin was covered. The patterns on the mask kept changing. Lu Xuan's mind moved, and in an instant he became an ordinary looking young cultivator. His aura remained at the early stage of foundation building, and his bones were slightly raised to avoid being recognized by familiar people such as Xuan. His appearance, aura, and figure all changed greatly, and Lu Xuan became a brand new cultivator. Half a moment later, he followed the fluctuations of spiritual power and came to a jade house at the top of the palace. The entire jade house is made of warm green jade. A huge jade pool is dug out in the center. The jade pool is covered with layers of restrictions. 7 monks are constantly attacking the surface of the restrictions, setting off waves of spiritual energy. This is entering the nest of evil spirits. Lu Xuan twitched his mouth and revealed a helpless smile. Wearing the 1000 chapter strange mask has no effect on him at the moment, and he can express his vivid and delicate expressions very well. At this moment, he felt that the muscles in his neck were almost frozen. The cool breath from the immaculate jade kept coming, warning Lu Xuan. Lu Xuan glanced casually, and the 7 monks surrounding the jade pool were immediately in sight. Among the 7 people, there was a hunchbacked old man with the most powerful spiritual power, with the cultivation of the late stage of foundation building. The high hump on his back rose and fell one after another, and strange howling sounds came from time to time. Occasionally, grey and black small hands and feet appeared from the back of the neck and were quickly pulled back by something. He showed the highest level of cultivation on the field and occupied the most ideal position. At the edge of the jade pool, there was another blood-robed monk. There were countless dark red evil insects on his blood-red robe, which were densely packed and squirming, as if they would burst out of the robe at any time. When Xuan saw the blood-robed monk for the first time, his pupils shrank slightly. He was very familiar with the dark red evil insects on the monk. They were the blood-coagulated yin insects that invaded Kangming Island not long ago. He also killed a blood-coagulated yin insect king at that time. The two had a great grudge. I didn't expect that the evil cultivator behind the scenes would also come to wade into this muddy water. At that time, the evil insect king had a strength that was not weaker than that of the early stage of foundation building. The blood-robed monk who raised evil insects behind the scenes had a cultivation strength that could be imagined. There was also a short monk wearing a loose robe, only as high as a normal person's waist. When his eyes were fixed on him, the cool breath from the immaculate jade became much stronger again, which, in a certain sense, also represented the horror of his strength. The burly middle-aged monk that Xuan saw when he first arrived at the outer edge of the secret realm was also among them. The monk turned into a giant of half a meter, with muscles entangled all over his body. When he breathed, 2 streams of hot white air gushed out of his nostrils, showing how strong his body was. In addition, there was an elegant scholar holding a 2-foot-long golden brush in his hand. The spiritual power of the brush body surged, and one could tell at a glance that it was extraordinary. He also saw 2 familiar figures. Shizang and Zhao Bingai, who stood closely together. Shizang held a dark yellow brass mirror in his hand, and the edge of the bronze mirror was painted with various strange insects and beasts, and strange patterns. In front of Zhao Bingai, there was a silver white sword ball floating, and countless sword key-like hair was fluctuating, waiting to be fired. Among the 7 people, only the 2 of them were in the early stage of foundation building, but the remaining few people present did not dare to underestimate them. Both of them were disciples of a large sect, with endless treasures and various powerful inheritances. Perhaps they possessed some secret techniques that could kill cultivators in the middle or late stages of foundation building, or possessed 1 or 2 protective treasures given by their elders and masters. The other cultivators in the early stages of foundation building who tried to enter the group were either easily dealt with, or had self-knowledge, and knew that their chances were too slim, so they took the initiative to withdraw in the face of life and death pressure. As soon as Xuan showed up, he attracted the attention of 7 people. Another one is here to die. My precious bugs are almost full. The blood-robed cultivator noticed Xuan's disguised early stage of foundation building and laughed sinisterly. His blood-red robe moved without wind, and the blood-coagulated yin worms inside seemed to move faster. The hunchbacked old man in the front looked at Xuan coldly, as if he was looking at a dead person. A dark blue baby ghost wrapped in yin key suddenly emerged from his back and smiled at Xuan. The other few people did not say anything. After taking a glance, they turned their attention back to the restriction in front of them. Since they have chosen to enter this place, there is no point in saying more. Life and death are at their own risk. Xuan ignored the blood-robed monk and others, and focused his eyes on the inside of the jade pool. The bottom of the jade pool was filled with black air, and above it, there were 4 strange treasures floating up and down. Chapter 333, Wrathful Soul Black Mud. The 4 treasures in the jade pool are a thin dark yellow incense stick, rooted in the black air at the bottom of the pool, surrounded by smoke, as if spewing out a smoke lotus platform, on which a Buddha statue with a smile and holding a flower can be vaguely seen sitting cross-legged. A piece of black mud with an uncertain shape slowly absorbs the black air below, and from time to time, a vague face of a resentful soul emerges from the black mud, and then disappears silently in the jade pool. A delicate and small seal, with Vajra, Buddha beads, wooden fish, prayer flags and other Buddhist instruments painted on all 4 sides, with bursts of golden light emerging from the bottom, suppressing the black air below. There is also a small emerald green sword. The sword body is crystal clear, exuding a strong vitality, swimming freely in the jade pool like a fish. The 4 treasures all look extraordinary and of good quality. The 7 people together with Xuan, occupy a position respectively, and work together to break the ban covering the jade pool. The spiritual power shield is crumbling, and the black air at the bottom is even more arrogant. With a loud bang, the aura shield shattered, and the black air surged instantly, and the pressure slide shone everywhere. 4 exotic treasures shot out from the jade pool like lightning. Several people were well prepared, and each used their own methods to instantly pounce on the treasures flying in different directions. The short monk's arms were soft, as if they had no bones, and they stretched out at a very fast speed. He grabbed the emerald green sword, but before he could retract it into his hand, or thunderous sword light from the sword ball in front of Zhao Bingaiyu suddenly came, and chopped on his pair of strange arms. The hump on the hunchbacked old man suddenly rose, and a shrill baby cry sounded. A blue-black baby ghost appeared out of thin air, and its grey arms tightly hugged the small Buddhist seal. Seeing this, the old man's face was happy. When he was about to summon the baby ghost back, a grey aura shone on the baby ghost, causing it to pause in its movements, and the seal in its hand fell down involuntarily. A red sword light flashed like a silk thread, wrapped the dark yellow incense stick, and came in front of the elegant scholar. He suppressed his excitement, controlled the sword light, and rushed out directly. Want to escape? The blood-robed monk sneered. Such high-quality blood food was enough for him to cultivate a blood-coagulated yin insect king. How could he bear to let the elegant scholar leave? The blood light in the sky swept towards the elegant scholar, and a sharp hissing sound came from inside, as if countless insects were hidden. Among the 4 treasures, the first thing Xuan liked was the black mud that oozed out the resentful souls. He guessed that this black mud was very likely to be used to cultivate spiritual plants, so the primary target was placed on it. The moment the black mud rushed out with many resentful souls, he controlled the 4th grade wind and thunder sword, and stopped the black mud in a flash. This treasure is mine. A rough voice came, and the burly monk who was half a meter tall stomped the ground fiercely, and his tall body turned into a trail of after images, rushing towards the wind and thunder sword and the resentful soul black mud. Xuan said nothing, and his figure was like a floating light, lightly coming to the black mud. With a thought, a dark sword light emerged from the wind and thunder sword. The wind and thunder roared, and the wind blew violently. Thunder appeared and rushed towards the burly middle-aged monk. The burly monk, who was half a meter tall, swelled again. His dark blue muscles were like pieces of hard rock, and he directly blocked the dark sword light. He had been immersed in the body refining for hundreds of years. His body was extremely strong, comparable to a 4th grade magic weapon. He was confident that he could block Xuan's sword light, but he still underestimated the power of the wind and thunder sword. The product of the light group must be a fine product. It was forged with the outer wind and thunder stone, and it contained a powerful wind and thunder force. It was in the forefront of the same grade of magic weapons. In addition, Xuan inserted the wind and thunder sword into the mysterious Xuan sword sheath, nourishing it for many days, and the quality was further improved. He also integrated the previously obtained 3rd grade Zunli sword pill with matching properties into the sword body. This made the power of the wind and thunder sword increase again. He met the burly monk head on, and the sword light fell on his swollen body. The rock-like muscles were like tofu, and they were easily cut open. There was lightning jumping in the deep scars. Ah! The burly monk roared in pain, feeling the threat of the dark sword light to his body. The flesh and blood in the deep wounds squirmed, as if they had vitality, and pushed out the sword light. He originally thought that he could snatch a treasure from this monk, who was only in the early stage of foundation building, and it would be worth the trip. But he didn't expect that this inconspicuous monk was so hidden that he could easily cause great harm to himself. The blood and ki in his mind surged, and the spiritual energy in his body flowed violently. The flesh and blood under his ribs and back shoulders squirmed, and forearms grew out in an instant. 6 huge blue-black fists rained down like rain, smashing towards Xuan crazily. This is a bit difficult. The resentful soul black mud in Xuan's hand disappeared instantly, and was put into the gluttonous insect sack, avoiding the huge fist that covered a large area beside him. Although after practicing 2 bodybuilding exercises and swallowing many spiritual fruits and treasures, his body is already extremely strong and should be at the same level as this transformed cultivator. Look at his crazy attack. If you are not careful, you may get some small wounds from bumps and bumps. His figure was like a lone boat, floating up and down in the surging waves. It's better to solve it as soon as possible. The burly middle-aged cultivator was in the middle stage of foundation building. In order to solve the problem once and for all, Xuan silently appeared a red talisman in his hand. It was the 4th grade Great Sun Sword talisman from the light ball of the sword-raising god. On the red talisman, a scorching sun suddenly expanded, and countless brilliant red sword beams shot out, attacking the 6-armed burly cultivator. In the eyes of the cultivator, it seemed as if a scorching sun exploded, shining brightly, deeply engraved in his sea of consciousness, and his mind was in a trance. When he reacted, countless red sword beams had already arrived in front of him. The body of a man who was half a meter tall was suddenly submerged in the endless sea of sword energy. The sword light dissipated, and the figure of a burly middle-aged monk was revealed. He knelt on the ground, his 6 arms hanging limply, and his body was covered with holes left by the dense sword light. Through the holes, you can see the charred muscles and internal organs in his body. Under the contact of the sword energy of the sun, the blood has all evaporated, leaving only an empty shell. A strange lantern quietly appeared in Xuan's hand, with white bones as the handle and human skin as the cover. Under the lamp holder, countless dark red lamp tassels swayed gently like tentacles. A green light flew out from the top of the burly middle-aged monk's head, and drilled into the soul-guiding lamp from under the lamp holder. On the pale candle, countless ghosts' resentment was squeezed. The green light merged into the candle, and a face that was obviously stronger than other ghosts emerged. Looking at the blurred facial features, it was somewhat similar to the burly middle-aged man. Xuan held the wind and thunder sword in his hand, and came to the corpse of the burly monk. With his spiritual power, the monk's storage bag suddenly appeared in his hand. Although the infinite sword energy raised by the Great Sun Sword talisman did not attack other monks directly, the eyes of the other 6 people were more or less affected by the brilliant sword light. When their spiritual consciousness sensed that the burly middle-aged monk had died, everyone was shocked. Chapter 334. The firepower is a bit strong. When Xuan just entered the Jade House, everyone saw that he was only in the early stage of foundation building, and they couldn't help but look down on him. Among the 7 people, 3 were in the late stage of foundation building, and 2 were in the middle stage of foundation building. The 2 were from famous and orthodox families. When they joined forces, they must be no weaker than ordinary middle stage casual cultivators. So no one took Xuan, who had an unknown origin and the lowest cultivation level, seriously. Unexpectedly, in the process of fighting for the treasure, Xuan solved the opponent in the first time. And he solved the burly cultivator with the strongest body among the crowd with a crushing momentum. Although the remaining 6 people knew that Xuan relied on the power of high-level talismans, no one dared to guarantee that he didn't have other high-level talismans or other killers in his hand. So when Xuan was touching the corpse, the treasure was right in front of him, and no cultivator was willing to take the risk to fight with him. Several people were still caught in the chaos. Xuan and Zhao Bingai were weaker after all. Although they mastered many secret techniques and had powerful magic weapons in their hands, they could only protect themselves and did not have the ability to snatch food from the late foundation building cultivators. The 2 looked at each other. Xuan held the grey bronze mirror in the back, and Zhao Bingai who drove the sword light, leading the 2 to disappear in the distance of the palace in an instant. There are opportunities everywhere in the secret realm, so there is no need to take huge risks. The fight between the blood-robed monk and the elegant scholar also came to an end soon. Countless bloodworms with rich blood attacked the elegant scholar from all directions. The scholar felt that his blood was boiling, as if it would flow out of the acupoints at any time. Suddenly, several blue-gray humanoid puppets drilled out from the ground and attacked the elegant scholar fearlessly. With the help of the blue-gray puppets, the elegant scholar did not even have the time to escape, and many bloodworms rushed to drill into his body. In just a few breaths, the blood and essence of his body were completely devoured by the bloodworms, leaving only an empty shell. I have left you a complete corpse of mid-stage foundation building cultivator. The blood-robed monk smiled sinisterly and said to the short monk in the distance. He put all the bloodworms into his robe, and the blood color of the robe became obviously darker, showing that the bloodworms were fully nourished. It's just that each of us takes what we need. If it weren't for my corpse puppet's help, your insects wouldn't be able to absorb the blood and flesh essence of a mid-stage foundation building cultivator so quickly. The short monk moved his 10 fingers slightly, and blue-gray humanoid corpse puppets emerged from the ground, beams, etc., guarding the escape routes. Yes, there is another old man in the late stage of foundation building next, but judging from his appearance, his flesh and blood must have already stinked, so the taste should not be very good, so I leave it to you. And the cultivator in the early stage of foundation building whose origin is unknown, I will deal with him as soon as possible, and then come to help you. The blood-robed cultivator looked at the hunchbacked old man and Xuan, and discussed without any care, as if the two of them were just two ingredients that provided blood and essence in front of him. I didn't expect that you two were actually accomplices. A blue-black baby ghost was lying on the top of the hunchbacked old man's head. The baby ghost's thin hands were playing with the Buddhist seal, and its empty dark eyes were coldly staring at Xuan and the other two. Xuan was silent, looking like a chicken trembling under a big boss. That's right, it's a pity that you, Daoist friend, have raised these baby ghosts for many years. Today, I will refine them into special corpse puppets. The short cultivator moved his hand slightly, and dozens of blue-gray corpse puppets attacked the hunchbacked old man from all directions. The old man's back swelled violently, and amid the shrill cries of babies, more than a dozen baby ghosts turned into dark blue light, and their gray-black palms slapped the corpse puppets, leaving dark blue palm prints. The marks were filled with black air, corroding the surface of the corpse puppets, but the corpse puppets seemed to be unaffected and still rushed towards the hunchbacked old man. A strong blood color suddenly appeared in front of Xuan's eyes, and countless hideous bloodworms waved their light wings and rushed towards him. Are these bloodworms raised by fellow Taoists? Xuan held the wind and thunder sword, and the deep black sword light shot out, facing the many bloodworms. That's right, you will soon be the nourishment for these spiritual insects of mine. The blood-robed monk laughed sinisterly, and the blood-red robes rustled, and countless bloodworms poured out from it. These bloodworms are blood-coagulated yin worms, right? I killed quite a few on the island a while ago. There was one particularly large one among them, which I roasted with fire. It sizzled and smelled so good. While dealing with the blood-coagulated yin worms, Xuan showed a look of reminiscence on his face. He seemed to be still immersed in the pleasure of roasting the Worm King with fire. You killed one of my Worm Kings. The blood-robed monk was furious when he heard this. He had previously released the blood-coagulated yin worms to parasitize on the monks in the archipelago and suck their blood, thinking that no one would be able to detect the existence of the bloodworms. But he did not expect that the released blood-coagulated yin worms were killed in one go, including an extremely precious blood-coagulated yin worm king. If you dare to kill my worm king, then pay with your own blood essence. The blood-red robe spread out, and suddenly, a large amount of blood flowed out like a river bursting its banks. In a few breaths, the jade house was filled with a sea of blood, with countless slender bloodworms floating and sinking, appearing, and disappearing from time to time. Oops. The hunchbacked old man who was struggling to deal with the many corpses suddenly felt a sudden shock in his heart and let out a long howl. The dozen or so baby ghosts beside him suddenly showed fierce light on their faces and returned to his side. They surrounded the old man and bit his neck, cheeks, and chest with their pale fangs. In an instant, more than half of his blood was absorbed by the many baby ghosts. All the baby ghosts were radiant, with green light emerging from their bodies. They wrapped around the hunchbacked old man, broke through the corpses with endless resentment, and disappeared in an instant. Xuan didn't care about the hunchbacked old man's behavior. He looked calm, looking at the sea of blood, with a smile on his face. This moment is just like that moment. The blood sea is full of worms, and the flame beads are roasting the demon worms. As soon as the voice fell, nearly 20 red stone beads fell into the blood sea. All the explosive flame beads in his hand were smashed out. Bang, bang, bang. Xuan simulated the sound of explosions, and huge waves of red flames rose up. Blood flew everywhere, mixed with the remains of blood-coagulated yin insects of varying lengths. Explosion is art. Xuan looked at the blazing red flames in the sea of blood, and felt a sense of deja vu of using firecrackers to blow up a pond in his previous life. Nearly 23rd grade explosive flame beads instantly burst out with terrifying power, directly burning a sea of blood dry, and all the large and small bloodworms in it were burned to black ash. Hey, fellow Taoist, this is how I roasted your bloodworms last time. but this time the fire seems to be a little stronger, and I accidentally scorched them. Please forgive me. Lu Xuan's face showed a trace of apology. He looked at the petrified blood-robed monk and smiled. The blood color of the monk's robe faded and drooped on his body, with a faint sense of embarrassment and desolation. Since fellow Taoist is so sad, then go down to accompany your spirit insects. A huge dark sword light attacked the monk from behind. Chapter 335 keeps a mystery. Most of the blood-robed monk's magical powers were on those bloodworms, but they were turned into nothingness by Lu Xuan's huge investment and bombardment of more than 23rd grade treasures. He couldn't help but be in a trance. Seeing the dark sword light flying in front of him, a blue-gray humanoid puppet suddenly flashed out and blocked the blood-robed monk. Don't wake up yet. Do you want to wait for death obediently? A cold voice sounded in the blood-robed monk's sea of consciousness. The monk woke up instantly, and a dark prayer flag flew out, with gusts of cold wind, and countless resentful souls poured out from it. Seeing this, Lu Xuan's mind moved, and the dark sword light changed accordingly. In an instant, it turned into many dark owls, soaring at high speed in the strong wind, and lightning flashed on its wings. The resentful souls came into contact with it, as if they were bubbles, and shattered with a bang. Dozens, hundreds, and thousands of owl sword ki attacked the blood-robed monk from all directions. The 4-grade wind and thunder sword that had been repeatedly strengthened, and the 4-grade 1000 owl sword art produced by the Xianji insect, which was famous in the cultivation world for its swordsmanship, combined their strength to cut the blood-robed monk, whose strength was greatly damaged, into pieces. A green light escaped from his body in a panic, and flew towards the short monk at lightning speed. Lu Xuan was calm, and the soul guiding lamp floated in front of him. Under the lamp holder, countless dark red lamp tassels like tentacles swayed freely. The remaining soul of the blood-robed monk only felt a great attraction from the direction of the lantern, and involuntarily returned to float into the soul guiding lamp. It turned into a clear face in the pale candle. Which evil sect did you come from, that even spared the soul, and prevented people from entering reincarnation? The short monk looked at the evil lantern in the air and asked solemnly. I just used his own method to treat him. When you devoured the blood of monks, and refined the corpses of monks into puppets, did you ever think that you might end up like this? Lu Xuan sneered, and waved the wind and thunder sword in his hand. Many dark sword beams whistled and attacked the short monk. The short monk knew that Lu Xuan was difficult to deal with. Even though his cultivation was much higher than his, he was still very afraid. Although Lu Xuan had already used a 4th grade sword talisman and many 3rd grade gems, the short monk did not dare to bet whether he had similar treasures in his hand. The monk's already short body shrank sharply, and then the whole person turned into countless black lines, shooting into the acupoints of the blue-gray corpse puppets. Dozens of corpse puppets seemed to have thoughts in an instant, and all kinds of body movements and magics were used against Lu Xuan. Lu Xuan's figure flashed, and the sword beam shot out, chopping a blue-gray corpse puppet close to him into pieces. He stepped on the ground, and turned into a floating light. While dodging the attacks of 3 corpse puppets, the wind and thunder sword energy slashed at the nearest corpse puppet. Suddenly, a strong wind blew from behind. The blue-gray corpse puppet that was originally chopped into pieces jumped up from the ground, cutting, hammering, or smashing, attacking Lu Xuan. A crying sound like a baby sounded, and a 3-foot-long straw doll appeared out of thin air behind Lu Xuan. The doll was made of countless fine hay, and its facial features vaguely resembled Lu Xuan. The substitute evil infant that had been hanging around his waist blocked the sudden attack of the corpse puppet fragments. Lu Xuan came back to his senses and felt lucky. If it weren't for the substitute evil infant blocking it, his physical body would have been seriously injured if it had faced this strange attack directly. He didn't expect that after the corpse puppet was shattered into pieces, it could still launch such a fierce sudden attack. Corpse puppets are fearless to begin with. Now with the integration of the short monk, their attack methods are endless. Even fragments can pose a fatal threat to themselves. The most urgent task is to pull out the monks hidden in the many corpse puppets. The body can be transformed into countless black lines, but it is extremely difficult for the soul to do this, unless he has the spiritual strength of the Jiandan realm, or has practiced the rare soul dividing technique. Lu Xuan's mind turned, and a thin layer of spiritual energy covered the surface of his pupils. Under the breaking delusion pupil technique, His eyes could vaguely perceive the black lines hidden in the corpse puppets, and could sense the number, length, and corresponding changes of the black lines. He pretended not to notice the mystery of the corpse puppets, and continued to deal with the many corpse puppets. Now, a corpse puppet sneaked up to Xuan. Under the effect of Xuan's pupil technique, the black lines in this corpse puppet were obviously stronger than others, and it was very likely that a cultivator's soul was hidden. Just as the corpse puppet was about to launch an attack, a crack suddenly appeared in front of his eyes. A grey-white pupil emerged from the crack, and stared at the corpse puppet without any emotion. The cultivator's soul hidden in the corpse puppet felt his mind falling in an instant, and countless illusions pulled him into a chaotic place. He knew something was wrong, and he united his mind and body. When he woke up, he found that a monstrous sword intent was locking onto him. Meteoric sword talisman. The meteor on the surface of the sword talisman in Xuan's hand passed by, and the sword intent burned, attacking the corpse puppet with an unmatched momentum. In a flash, the short cultivator's soul moved to a corpse puppet next to him. But the sword energy like a meteor seemed to have completely locked him in. It turned and followed closely, smashing the corpse puppet into powder and sublimating directly. As the meteor sword energy moved, its speed became faster and faster, and its power became stronger and stronger. It drew a beautiful arc, and chopped all the corpse puppets into nothingness. The cultivator's soul hidden in the corpse puppet dissipated. If we get rid of all the corpse puppets, we won't have to worry about whether we can find you. Xuan sighed in a low voice. Among the 3 sword symbols that came out of the sword raising good, the roaring sea sword symbol is a group attack method, and the sword energy is as surging as the waves. The big sun sword symbol can capture people's hearts and minds, and the sword energy is fierce and domineering. The falling star sword symbol is the strongest single attack and the fastest, with a kind of determination that will not stop until the opponent is killed. Unfortunately, there is no chance for you to bet on how many sword symbols are left in my storage bag. Xuan said secretly, just picking up the storage bag of the short monk. Well, why is the cool breath from the immaculate jade not decreasing but increasing? Xuan's heart jumped, and his spiritual consciousness swept over, and found that at some point, the black gas at the bottom of the jade pool had reached an extremely dense level. It was like a substance, constantly surging, and a trembling breath came from it. 5th grade longevity peach. 4 powerful treasures suppress. Xuan's mind turned rapidly, and a golden jade book appeared out of thin air. Opening the jade book, a majestic cry that permeated the entire secret realm sounded. A golden crow with white and gold flames burning all over its body shot out like lightning. In an instant, the whole world turned into a vast expanse of white, filled with endless pure white flames. The black air in the jade pool was like snow under the scorching sun, melting rapidly. No matter where you come from, it's better to keep a sense of mystery. Xuan closed the jade book, and the golden crow in the sky cried crisply, turned into a white light, and drilled into the jade book. Only the surging pure white flames were still burning. Chapter 336 The secret realm is too dangerous. In the abandoned palace, Xuan's figure was like floating light, passing by at a very fast speed. As early as in the medicine garden, he had noticed something wrong in this secret realm. From the information of the mutated spirit seeds, it was learned that the 5th grade longevity peaches had been invaded by the evil aura for a long time, thus mutating into the strange longevity peaches. This shows that there is an evil existence in the secret realm, and the aura is extraordinary. After entering the Jade House, the 4 treasures caused many people to fight for them, and Xuan also noticed the mystery inside. It is better to say that the band seals the 4 treasures than to say that it seals the countless black hair at the bottom. And the 4 treasures, from the external magical places, can be seen that they act on the black hair in the form of absorption, suppression, and refining. These factors in series mean that there is an extremely powerful evil existence hidden in the black hair at the bottom. Breaking the ban and taking out the treasures will naturally release the evil aura inside. Xuan did not give it a chance to recover its strength. He directly opened the 5th grade Pure Yang True Fire Scroll and used the Golden Crow's residual soul inside to release the Pure Yang Flame, which burned away the evil aura inside. As for using up the precious opportunity of the Golden Crow's residual soul in the secret realm, Xuan did not feel much pity. After all, he could use the pure yang flame to recharge it after using it up. The most important thing is to save his life. In the process of leaving the deserted island, Xuan found that there were already many family cultivators and casual cultivators on the island. He found a remote corner, took off the 4th grade Kanjin weird mask, and resumed his identity as an ordinary spiritual plant master. Without further delay, he went directly through the broken water wall and returned to the Song family treasure ship. Uncle Lu, you finally came out. The moment Song Yu, the head of the Song family, saw Xuan's figure, the whole person immediately relaxed. Although he had great confidence in Xuan, he was always uneasy in his heart. If Xuan had an accident in the secret realm and was seriously injured or even died, he would have a hard time explaining it to the Xianjian sect. Well, I was lucky to survive. Xuan sat down and said calmly, Uncle, can you find any opportunities in the secret realm? Song Yu asked tentatively. There are too many foundation building cultivators, and there are many who are much stronger than me. It's good enough to come out safely. As for the opportunities, it's just to get rid of a few 3rd grade monsters and get some spiritual medicines and seeds. Xuan said casually. He introduced the ice magic toad and the strange stone formation in detail to the Song family cultivators so that they could avoid some detours after entering. Fellow Daoist Song, I didn't expect to see you again outside the secret realm. Not long after Xuan returned, Shizang and Zhao Bingai came together. After seeing Xuan, they looked much more relaxed. Where did fellow Daoist Lu go after passing through the stone maze? Why didn't I see you? The three of them exchanged what they saw and heard in the secret realm, and Zhao Bingai asked curiously. After going through so much trouble and getting out of that strange stone formation, I wanted to go directly into the palace, meet up with the two fellow Taoists, and search for treasures. But I didn't expect that a spiritual insect I kept on weekdays suddenly showed abnormal reactions. I followed the instructions of the spiritual insect and entered a remote medicine garden where I found some spiritual seeds and spiritual medicines. Xuan said calmly. After searching the medicine garden thoroughly, I entered the palace much later than most cultivators and just wandered around the bottom of the palace. Later, I wanted to go to the core area above to take a look and accidentally found that more than one foundation building cultivator had died in a passage. There was a strong aura fluctuation above the palace. After weighing the pros and cons, I had no choice but to give up and go to other places in the secret realm to hunt monsters and search for spiritual medicines. Xuan said half truthfully. The two of us did stay on the top floor of the palace for a long time. Shizang nodded gently. You two Daoists are indeed from great sects, and you are outstanding among men. You can seize opportunities and treasures from those cultivators in the middle or even late stages with your cultivation in the early stage of foundation building. I wonder what opportunities and treasures you two Daoists have obtained in there? Can I see them? Xuan praised and asked. Daoist Lu, you are too kind. Shizang's eyes flashed with a very obscure embarrassment. Although we entered the core area of the secret realm together, our strength is the last among several cultivators. Although we tried our best, we still couldn't snatch those powerful independent cultivators in the middle and late stages of foundation building. Is that so? In that case, it's a pity. Xuan said with great regret. The treasures are right in front of us, but we missed them. Two Daoists, alas. It's a pity that my strength is low, and I don't have the qualifications to compete for the treasures. Otherwise, if I join hands with the two Daoists, I might be able to seize one or two high-grade treasures. He finally sighed. Daoist Lu, it's very good that you have this intention. Shizang said gently. As for regret, although it is unavoidable, it is still acceptable. After all, the gap in strength is too big, and we have many treasures on us, so we are not so anxious. The most important thing is to be able to save our lives. Fellow Daoist Lu, you don't know how critical the situation was at that time. Except for the two of us, the rest of us are in the middle and late stages of foundation building. There is another one who is particularly hateful. On the surface, his cultivation is equal to ours, but in fact he has a powerful sword talisman that can easily kill a cultivator in the middle stage of foundation building. He killed a cultivator in the middle stage of foundation building with one encounter. Shizan gritted his teeth and said, and he was extremely disgusted with the behavior of the last strange cultivator who pretended to be a pig and ate the tiger. A sword talisman that can easily kill a cultivator in the middle stage of foundation building? Even in the Xianjian sect, it is a rare treasure. I didn't expect it to appear in this secret realm. Lu Xuan regarded Shizang's attitude as envy and jealousy of himself, and echoed in his tone. I don't know what the result of their fight will be. Who will get the 4 treasures in the end? Looking at the power of the last pure white flame, there should be many cultivators who have fallen. Shizang sighed lightly. According to Daoist Fellowship, more than one cultivator in the middle and late stages of foundation building died in the secret realm. Lu Xuan shook his head gently. The secret realm is too dangerous. People like me are more suitable for cultivating spiritual plants and raising spiritual beasts. A trace of lingering fear flashed across his face, and he said self-deprecatingly, as if he was very grateful to have returned safely from the secret realm and saved his life. The most important things in the secret realm have been discovered. If you enter again, you can only hunt some monsters and obtain spiritual medicines and materials. Don't dream of anything else for now. Shizan concluded. Daoist fellow Lu, we both need to go back and rest. After a while, when the turmoil in the secret realm has calmed down, we will find you to go fishing for sea fish and sea beasts. By the way, there is also the soul extracting liquid that I promised you before. I got it on a small island before entering the secret realm. I just took this opportunity to give it to you. Shizan took out a bottle of soul extracting liquid from his storage bag. Chapter 337 A Great Harvest. The surface of the spiritual liquid was dotted with spiritual light, like the stars in the sky. Shizan opened the bottle stopper, and suddenly, a strong, pure and clear spiritual breath escaped, and the spiritual energy in the body was ready to move. This spiritual essence liquid is a 3rd grade spiritual liquid, which contains extremely rich and pure spiritual energy. After swallowing a drop, it can quickly replenish and restore the spiritual power of the cultivator. Shizang introduced it to Lu Xuan. Thank you, fellow Taoists, for obtaining this rare spiritual liquid for me. Lu Xuan smiled slightly. According to the prior agreement, these 2 sword-raising goods will be the reward for this bottle of spiritual essence liquid. He flicked his hand, and 2 green and mottled goods flew out of the storage bag. The goods came from the inside of the goods, as if they were nourishing a powerful sword energy. Dao Iaolu is generous, so we would rather obey your order than accept this sword-raising good. A hint of joy appeared on Shizang and the other man's faces, and they accepted the sword-raising good without refusing. The good contained a killing sword energy that was comparable to a 3rd grade magic weapon. They were both very satisfied that they could exchange it for a bottle of soul extracting true liquid. Not to mention Lu Xuan, soul extracting true liquid can be used to cultivate the 5th grade dragon skeleton grass left in the sect, which is much more valuable than itself. Not to mention that it saves a lot of time to search for it at risk. Shizang and the others did not stay for long. They chatted for a few words and then said goodbye to Lu Xuan. Uncle Lu, what are your plans next? Song Yu quickly came up and asked. I'm going back to Kangming Island. If you want to explore the secret realm, you can stay here. If you are careful, you can still find some good things. Song Yu's face flashed a trace of hesitation, and finally decided to stay outside the secret realm. Uncle, we finally came here. We still want to go in and take a look. Okay, then be careful. Lu Xuan said that he had already told Song Yu and others about the information about the secret realm, and there was nothing extra to explain, so he drove the purple lightning sword and flew to Kangming Island. Finally I'm back. Lu Xuan returned to his own courtyard and sighed in a low voice. He had made many preparations for entering the secret realm this time. His cultivation had broken through to the middle stage of foundation building, and he had obtained the 2 treasures, the Void Nightmare Eye and the Pure Yang True Fire Talisman, so that he could escape from the secret realm unscathed. As soon as he entered the courtyard, a green light struck him, and he immediately felt the familiar touch of the round belly of the wind falcon. The fat bird flapped its light green wings, stepped on Lu Xuan's shoulders, and chirped, as if it was very dissatisfied with Lu Xuan for not taking him out. On the side, the cloud-stepping lynx that came out of the gluttonous insect sack stepped briskly, walking among the rocks. as if on flat ground, with an extremely elegant demeanor. "Is your turtle son obedient?" Lu Xuan pinched the fat bird's soft belly and came to the edge of the small pond. After not seeing it for a while, the grey-black rocks on the rock-shelled turtle's body became thicker. I don't know how many times it has rolled in the muddy water. The green-horned dragon carp sensed Lu Xuan's aura and swam up from the bottom of the pool, floating near the rock-shelled turtle. It had a slender body and graceful movements, and its two green dragon whiskers were dragging and fluttering in the water, forming a sharp contrast with the earthy rock-shelled turtle next to it. Lu Xuan fed them some food and hurried back to the house. He consumed a lot of treasures during this trip to the secret realm. All the explosive flame orbs obtained from the fiery fruit were used to blast the blood sea, and one great sun sword talisman and one falling star sword talisman were used. There were still two 4th grade sword talismans left. In addition, the 3rd grade substitute evil infant that had been on his body for quite a long time, and the attack of the golden crow remnant soul in the 5th grade pure yang true fire talisman were also consumed. However, the loss is still acceptable. There are still many flaming fruits planted in the sect, and the explosive flame beads are accumulating quickly. I have also planted 3 sword raising goods, so I don't have to worry about not having sword talismans to use. As for the pure yang true fire talisman, I can still visualize the golden crow diagram inside. If there is a suitable opportunity, I can recharge it and continue to use it. Lu Xuan thought to himself. More importantly, compared with the cost, the harvest is quite full. He took out treasures from the gluttonous insect capsule one by one. A longevity peach spirit seed, and 6 picked longevity peach spirit fruits. A 5th grade spirit seed. The cultivation method after mutation is a bit evil, just right to plant in the underworld courtyard. Lu Xuan looked at the dark red peach core embedded in the solidified flesh and blood, thinking to himself. Then, it was a medicine beast that was tightly locked by the white bone demon puppet. Because it was almost invisible and colorless, it might disappear from his sight if he was not careful, so Lu Xuan kept it in the sealed white bones. He set up a simple spiritual power restriction, and with a thought, a tiny crack suddenly appeared in the bone sphere. A faint medicinal fragrance floated out from the crack. Lu Xuan took out a soul-enriching pill from the storage bag. Under the spiritual sense, the transparent insect came over stealthily, wrapped the soul-enriching pill, and greedily absorbed the poison inside. He took this opportunity to make a contract with the medicine beast. In the future, there will be a large supply of pills. Lu Xuan sent a thought to the translucent medicine beast. The medicine beast feeds on the pill furnace and the poison in the pill. Feeding it with pills will not affect its medicinal power, but will further improve the quality of the pill. Next, there are 3 rare treasures obtained from the Jade Pool. The resentful soul black mud, which was obtained by fighting with the burly monk in the middle stage of foundation building. The shape is uncertain, and with a little force, the resentful soul will squeeze out of the black mud. A dark yellow incense stick was taken from the blood-robed monk. The incense stick burned automatically, and the smoke lingered, forming a vague lotus platform in the sky. There was a Buddha statue sitting cross-legged with a smile on his face. A small emerald green sword was obtained after killing the short monk who controlled many corpse puppets. It exuded a rich and pure vitality, and all evil spirits were scared away. 3 of the 4 treasures in the Jade Pool fell into Lu Xuan's hands. Only the exquisite seal was taken away by the hunchback monk after he escaped. At least they are all 4th grade magic tools and treasures, and they may even be as high as 5th grade. Unfortunately, I don't know their origins. I can only find a way to find out the specific functions of the treasures. Lu Xuan felt the powerful spiritual power fluctuations in the 3 treasures and guessed. After that, there were several storage bags obtained from several monks. The key point was the storage bags left by the 2 evil cultivators in the late stage of foundation building. Lu Xuan used spiritual energy to force them open, and took out everything inside. The spiritual stones fell down with a clatter. Lu Xuan took a quick look, and estimated that there were 5 or 6,000 of them. Secondly, there were various elixirs and talismans. Some of them were familiar to Lu Xuan, but some he had never seen before. They were filled with evil spirits, and were not regular elixirs. The quality of the talismans was average, with the highest being the 3rd grade. Lu Xuan had become addicted to the rare talismans, and was not interested in them. In addition, there was a 4th grade magic weapon that had refined many prayer flags of resentful ghosts and 3 3rd grade magic weapons that were more or less stained with evil auras. A bottle of dark red blood, rich in spiritual power and of extraordinary quality, and many rare monster bones that were polished to a shiny shine. There was also an unexpected discovery, an evil spirit seed. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 338. The 3-year period has expired. Return to the sect. A strange shaped spiritual seed. The spiritual seed is like a baby's palm, white and tender. Xuan initially thought it was some evil material left by the 2 evil cultivators. After realizing that it contained some vitality, he realized that the palm was actually a special spiritual seed. He came to the spiritual field and found a blank spiritual soil. He performed the earth drawing technique, and a tiny crack appeared in the spiritual field. He put the white palm spiritual seed into the crack. His mind was focused on the strange spiritual seed in the shallow layer of the spiritual soil, and a thought flashed through his mind. Blood spirit palm ginseng, a 4th grade spiritual plant, likes to eat the essence and blood of cultivators and monsters. It is shaped like a palm, and has a certain ability to move. During its growth, it will actively move closer to the blood source and secretly absorb its essence and blood. After maturity, it can be used to practice evil techniques, or it can be taken directly to improve the strength of the body. An evil spiritual plant with a certain ability to move. Xuan sighed secretly, as if he saw a palm crawling in the ground, searching for the essence and blood of monsters and cultivators. That's good. It's just right to replenish the evil spiritual plants in the underworld courtyard. After the ghost-faced stone mushroom, thornbone and 100-eyed strangewood matured one after another, the evil spiritual plants in the courtyard of Giant Town were only the 5th grade holy infant fruit plant and the blood sunflower. After a trip in the secret realm, he added 2 generals, the 4th grade blood spirit palm ginseng and the 5th grade strange longevity peach. He took out a bottle of dragon blood from the storage bag and ripped it into the spiritual soil next to the white and tender palm. Under the induction of the mind, the part of the palm that remained in the spiritual soil greedily absorbed the fresh dragon blood. Soon after, blood red veins as thin as hair appeared, adding a bit of weirdness to the originally white and tender palm. After Xuan cultivated the newly acquired blood spirit palm ginseng for a while, he inspected the other spiritual plants in the spiritual field. After adjusting all the spiritual plants to the best state, when he was about to enter the house, he suddenly noticed a movement under his feet. Looking down, he saw a white hand with blood streaks emerging from the soil, firmly grasping his trouser leg, and the part of his calf that was in contact with it was surging with blood. This blood spirit palm ginseng has strong mobility. Xuan moved the white hand to its original position, secretly sighing. Fortunately, its range of movement is limited, and there is a 4th grade 1000 illusion cloud array in the courtyard of Giant Town for protection, otherwise it might really run out to suck blood. Xuan continued to plant the longevity peaches, using the greenwood source energy to activate the dark red peach core preserved in the solidified flesh and blood. The flesh and blood on the peach core moved in many grooves, slowly seeping into its interior, quietly taking root and sprouting. After inspecting and cultivating all the spiritual plants, Xuan returned to the house with peace of mind. Although we were sure of success, when we went to the secret realm this time, we almost had an accident. 2 evil cultivators in the late stage of foundation building joined forces, and were finally solved by the extremely yang and strong flame of the pure yang true fire talisman. The existence of the black gas in the womb could cause injuries if we were not careful. Fortunately, we gained a lot, and it was worth the risk. Well, I'll stay in the yard honestly in the future, cultivate spiritual plants and raise spiritual beasts. Xuan decided secretly. In the next year or so, he did this very well. He spent every day with spiritual plants and spiritual beasts, and the rest of the time was used to practice martial arts and sword techniques. Occasionally, he would take the time to instruct Song Yan on the sword method, and teach Song Xining some experience in cultivating spiritual plants. If Shizong invited him, he would go fishing for sea fish and sea beasts to relax. However, he never thought of entering the deep sea area and only limited himself to the vicinity of the archipelago. The fish and sea beasts caught were basically used to feed rock turtles, green-horned dragon carp, and the longevity peaches and blood spirit palm ginseng that had a demand for blood and flesh. During this period, Xuan and Zhao Bingai did not give up and tried to invite him to explore the secret realm again, but they were all rejected by Lu Xuan, so they had to give up. During this period, the water firefly grass planted matured. There were nearly 200 water fireflies, 50 of which were used to condense seeds, and the remaining 150 white light balls, because most of the water fireflies were of ordinary quality, opened out 30 years of cultivation rewards. After Lu Xuan broke through the middle stage of foundation building, his stagnant cultivation level made another step forward. However, due to his mediocre talent, he was still a long way from breaking through to the late stage of foundation building. There is no sun and moon in cultivation, Zhang, and travel, Xuan. The last year of the 3-year garrison period passed quickly. During this period, all 10 ordinary sword grasses planted by Lu Xuan matured. Because they were all cultivated with the 4-season sword art, the mature sword grasses had corresponding properties, and the white light balls harvested were 4 different sword intent experience packs. After absorbing them one by one, Lu Xuan's control of the 4-season sword art reached a new level. Among the other sword grasses, the wind and thunder sword grass had obvious differences in growth progress due to the changes of the sword grass spirit seeds in the scabbard at different time periods. The first one planted was about to fully mature. The 3rd grade starlight sword grass had grown into a spiritual plant shaped like a 3-foot-long sword. The starlight on the sword body was condensed and dazzling. The beauty was hidden with a powerful sword intent. It was estimated that it would not take long for it to fully mature. The 4th grade sword Thousand Owl, as Lu Xuan's control of the corresponding Thousand Owl sword art became more and more pure and proficient. The sword Thousand Owl with the shortest cultivation time also entered a rapid growth period. On the straight branches of different sizes and thicknesses, dozens of sword key owls were condensed, blending with the branches, and the slender wings were like sharp swords. The peaches of different longevity have been planted for more than a year and have grown to nearly a person's height. The peach tree is full of spiritual energy and exudes an alluring fragrance. The rich vitality can be felt from afar. However, deep in the spiritual soil, under the developed root system of the peaches of different longevity, there are piles of bones like a small mountain, which is in sharp contrast to the pure and harmless part of the ground. The blood spirit palm ginseng has grown from the size of a baby's palm to the size of a 7 or 8-year-old child. On the small palm, the blood veins are getting thicker and thicker, and the whole palm can be vaguely seen with a faint red. Moreover, the range of movement is getting larger and larger. If it can't absorb enough monster blood, it will crawl around in the spiritual field. Once it almost ran into the little girl song singing who came to visit. In anger, Lu Xuan forced him to abstain from blood for half a month as a punishment for almost being exposed. In terms of spiritual beasts, the rock-shelled turtle, the green-horned dragon carp, the medicine beast, and even the tool for condensing sand and stone, the sand snail, have all grown a lot. In the Kangming Island, where he was stationed, there was no major abnormality in the past year. Occasionally, sea beasts and fish raided the waters, where Kangming spirit fish were raised, but they were easily dealt with by Lu Xuan and the Song family. The emergence of the new secret realm also led to the appearance of evil cultivators on the island from time to time. The cloud-stepping lynx noticed it at the first time, and then Lu Xuan monitored it with the void nightmare eye. If there was any behavior that was detrimental to Kangming Island, they would be captured directly and used as nutrients for the Yishao Panteo and the blood spirit palm ginseng. The 3-year deadline has expired. Is it time to return to the sect? Lu Xuan looked at the boundless sea, and a smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. Chapter 339. Light balls everywhere. Kangming Island. Okay, just send it here. My fellow disciple who will replace me will arrive on the island soon. You can ask him for help in the future. Lu Xuan rode on the spacious back of the fat bird and said to the Song family monks led by Song Yu behind him. Uncle Lu, this is a small specialty made from Kangming spiritual fish. It's a souvenir for you. Song Yu handed over an exquisite jade box with a strong reluctance in his tone. During the 3 years that Lu Xuan was stationed on Kangming Island, although he rarely went out on weekdays, he would always rush to the island if there was any problem, especially the bloodworm parasite. He notified in advance, made preparations, and pulled out those evil insects, and killed them all, so that a big storm was eliminated invisibly. Therefore, Song Yu and the Song family were reluctant to let Lu Xuan leave. Lu Xuan did not refuse, took the jade box, and glanced at Song Yun behind Song Yu. After I leave, remember to practice hard, and look forward to the day when I will see you in Xianjian sect. Yes, Senior Lu, I will definitely not let you down. Song Yun, who was still just a teenager, nodded heavily with red eyes. He has good talent, and with Lu Xuan's guidance, he has reached the 6th level of key training at a young age. After breaking through to the higher level of key training, he can try to join Xianjian sect. Lu Xuan told Song Yun something, turned his head, and looked at the fierce female cultivator Zhao Bingaiu beside him. Fellow Daoist Zhao, I don't know when we will meet again after we say goodbye today. I rarely leave the sect on weekdays. If you have the chance, you can come to Xianjian sect to visit me. Shizan completed the garrison mission before Lu Xuan. Although he was reluctant to leave the rare fishing spot of Wuan Sea, he still returned to Lisan sect and was taken over by other fellow disciples. Okay, fellow Daoist Lu, see you later. Zhao Bingaiu said lightly. See you later. Lu Xuan cupped his hands, and with a thought, the wind falcon let out a crisp cry, and the spiritual light on its light blue wings emerged, turning into a green light that went straight up into the sky. 2 days later, Jianmen Town. Lu Xuan controlled the fat bat to land on the huge bluestone square, and after a little supplied various shops and stalls of casual cultivators, he could not wait to come to the underworld courtyard. After opening the 1,000 illusion clouds and smoke array, a familiar cool breath instantly came. After Lu Xuan took away several underworld spiritual plants last time, the courtyard seemed much emptier. Currently, there were only 5 grade holy infant fruit plants and 5 grade blood evil flowers. I haven't cultivated them well for 3 years, and I don't know how my 2 underworld babies are doing. He walked to the front of the holy infant fruit. There was a spiritual fruit like an embryo on the ground. Inside the spiritual fruit, under the breaking delusion pupil technique, a dry and skinny grey-black baby could be vaguely seen hiding. Sensing Lu Xuan's gaze, the grey-black baby turned into a black shadow and concealed itself silently. Occasionally, a faint cold aura gathered on Lu Xuan, indicating its presence. Poor holy infant, it hasn't eaten children for 3 years. Lu Xuan sighed and took out the wooden infant of the 5 sons of the concentric demon from the gluttonous insect sack. With a wave of the purple lightning sword, a deep purple lightning struck the pale green wooden infant. Wake up. Spit out some infant souls. Stimulated by the lightning, the wooden infant trembled all over, and the dark blue rune chain wrapped around it emerged with spiritual light, completely sealing it. The wooden infant's grey-white eyes were full of resentment. With rich experience in electric shocks, it knew its situation, and would have to separate several infant souls sooner or later. The sooner it separated, the less painful it would be. After a few breaths, a fist-sized infant soul struggled to crawl out of the dark hole in the wooden infant's belly button. The body was condensed and not dispersed, grey-white, with empty eyes, and it floated in the air dully. Sensing the appearance of the infant soul, the grey-black infant in the holy infant fruit reappeared, took a deep breath, and the infant soul slurped into the spiritual fruit like noodles. Lu Xuan followed the same method, squeezing out several souls from the wooden infant's body, and feeding them to the holy infant fruit one by one. It has been several years since I got this holy infant fruit plant. The spiritual plant is currently in a rapid growth period. I must consider the evil cultivator behind the scenes. The holy infant fruit in the yard is not a complete plant, but a part of the daughter plant separated from the mother plant. When the daughter plant is about to mature, the evil cultivator behind the scenes can possess it and observe and sense the surrounding situation. Lu Xuan had long wanted to fish him out along with the holy infant fruit mother plant. He decided to wait for a while, when the void nightmare eyes were refined more maturely, and then come to the yard from time to time to check on him, and in turn monitor the evil cultivator behind the scenes. After cultivating the holy infant fruit, Lu Xuan came to the blood sunflower. A hollow blood ball grew on a dark red slender stem. The blood cell seemed to be woven from countless tiny blood vessels. It had not absorbed fresh blood for a long time, and the tiny blood vessels seemed to have shrunk a lot compared to before. The spiritual consciousness probed into the blood cell. The boundless sea of blood inside was no longer as loud as before, and it was as calm as a mirror. Only in the middle was there a scarlet flower bud waiting to bloom. Xuan quickly took out the dragon's blood essence from the storage bag and poured it on the surface of the blood cell. The tiny blood vessels instantly became energetic, sucking the dragon's blood essence to their heart's content, and suddenly became fresh. The dead sea of blood inside was stirred again, and the blood waves became bigger and more turbulent. The scarlet flower in the middle slowly stretched out its bud. After feeding the blood flower well, Xuan took out the longevity peach and the blood spirit palm ginseng from the gluttonous insect bag, and transplanted them in the small courtyard. The gluttonous insect bag is 2 grades higher than the life bag, and it has a stronger effect on maintaining the vitality of the spiritual plants. In just a few days, it has no effect on the 2 spiritual plants. Although the Yishao peach was originally a 5-grade multi-Shao peach, after the mutation, Xuan did not dare to plant it in the sect, and had to leave it in the underworld courtyard of Jianmen Town. So far, there are a total of 4 kinds of evil spirit plants in the courtyard, 3 of which are 5-grade spirit plants, and the worst is the 4-grade blood spirit palm ginseng. Fortunately, I got enough blood from the Qianlong Lake to check the dragons, otherwise I really couldn't deal with these 2 blood-sucking spirit plants. Xuan sighed secretly as he looked at the gently swaying hollow blood balls and the light red palms crawling around restlessly in the yard. After taking good care of and cultivating these 4 underworld spirit plants, Xuan was eager to return to the sect and drove the fat bad to the outside of the sect's guardian formation in an instant. Passing through the Zaoshan Dao sword formation, a strong and pure spiritual energy rushed to his face. The sect is still better, Xuan sighed. When he was in Kunming Island, although it was just a fish pond bureau, he was still a little nervous. After returning to the sect, he felt relieved. He was worried about the many spiritual plants in the cave that he had not seen for 3 years. Therefore, he did not rush to hand over the task, but returned to the cave as soon as possible. After opening the formation, the thick white fog dissipated, and a familiar scene appeared before his eyes. Xuan's figure passed by and came to the spiritual field. Looking around, there was a faint white light flashing everywhere. Light balls were all over the mountain. Chapter 340, Desire Pill Heart Sutra of Bliss. The first thing that caught his eyes was the 2nd-grade fiery flame fruit and ice still fruit. At that time, in order to choose the spiritual fruit freely, Xuan specially got the method of condensing the seeds of the 2 spiritual fruits. In the spiritual field, there were 10 fiery flame fruits and ice still fruits planted respectively. On each spiritual plant, there were a dozen spiritual fruits that were either shaped like flames or cold. Fruits of ice and fire. Fortunately, not much time has passed, and the ripe spiritual fruits have not fallen down. Otherwise, I won't be able to enjoy the wonderful taste of ice and fire for a while. Xuan picked the ripe spiritual fruits one by one, and gently picked up the white light balls that emerged. Every time a spiritual fruit fell into his hand, or thought flashed through his mind, various light ball rewards appeared one after another. Harvest a 2nd-grade fiery flame fruit, and get the 3rd-grade treasure explosive flame pearl. Harvest a 2nd-grade fiery flame fruit, and get the 3rd-grade treasure red lotus flame. Dark red stone beads that instantly burst into flames in a large area. Red lotus flames that can be used to refine pills and tools. The burning Yuan pill that can burn essence and instantly greatly increase the strength of the body. And the burning Yuan pill recipe experience package. Harvest a 2nd-grade ice radish fruit, and obtain the 3rd-grade elixir jade muscle pill. Harvest a 2nd-grade ice radish fruit, and obtain the 3rd-grade talisman water dragon talisman. The jade muscle pill with a powerful healing effect. The 3rd-grade talisman that can stimulate the intermediate level water dragon technique. The water walking beads that allow cultivators to move freely in the water. And the 100-year ice soul that can assist in practicing ice-based exercises. Xuan had a great harvest. Various elixirs, recipes, and treasures appeared in an endless stream, dazzling his eyes. I used up more than 20 3rd grade exploding flame beads in the secret realm at one time before, but I didn't expect that. After returning to the sect, I not only replenished them, but also obtained more exploding flame beads than before. How can I use up so many? Xuan thought in worry. The spiritual consciousness swept across the entire mountain and noticed that in the remote corner of the mountain, there were also many white light balls hanging on the 3 fairy peaches. This is not a proper spiritual peach. I wonder what kind of light ball reward it can produce. Xuan sighed, and his figure floated in front of the fairy peach. The pink peach was looming between the pink and white tender peach leaves, with a half-hidden temptation. Under the peach tree, the long accumulated love miasma was like a substance, as if covering the fairy peach plant, and the spiritual peach with a thin layer of red gauze. The breeze blew, and the red gauze seemed to slowly fade away, revealing the tender spiritual peach hidden inside. The demon ghost vine came out from Xuan's sleeve, staring at the direction of the fairy peach, and involuntarily secreted grey mucus. After staying on that deserted island for 3 years, it thought it would never see the fairy peach it had been thinking about again. Xuan cast a purification spell on himself and the demon ghost vine respectively, with clear eyes, floated under a spiritual peach, and carefully picked it. The peach feels great, and fits perfectly in the hand, which makes Xuan have unrealistic thoughts. His mind is focused on the pink and tender peach, and a thought emerges from his mind. The 3rd grade peach, the first fruit, bears fruit in about 3 years, and bears fruit once every 2 years until its life limit. When mature, the fruit contains rich spiritual power, which is very popular among cultivators and monsters. Long-term consumption has the effect of keeping the face young, and can enhance the charm of the eater. It can also be used to refine certain special pills or brew special spiritual liquids. The fruit that can keep the face young is a rare treasure for some female cultivators. Xuan sighed secretly, and focused his attention on the white light ball in front of him. Reaching out and gently touching it, the slightly flickering white light ball exploded into countless tiny light spots, and the light spots in the sky with a faint pink color poured into Xuan's body. Harvest a 3rd grade peach, and obtain the 4th grade pill, the desire pill. The thought flashed through his mind, and a pill appeared in the palm of Xuan's hand. The pill was the size of a pigeon egg, and was a very rare pink color. There were light red spiritual patterns on the surface. At first glance, the spiritual pattern seemed to form a beautiful and graceful body with bumps and curves, which was extremely bewitching. Xuan's mind was focused on the pink pill, and he instantly learned detailed information about it. The desire pill, a 4th grade pill, has a strong aphrodisiac effect. After taking it, it can stimulate the most powerful desires in the hearts of cultivators or monsters. It is an excellent treasure for many evil cultivators who practice the way of love. It can stimulate lust, make every part of the body extremely sensitive, and amplify its pleasure. If you are not careful, you will sink into the sea of desire. Sure enough, what kind of spiritual plant will give what kind of reward? Xuan was as calm as water when he saw the appearance of the 4th grade desire pill. He had expected it long ago. Although I can't use it now, if any of the senior uncles or brothers in the sect raises a high-grade spirit beast that is infertile, I can feed it a desire pill and try. But this way, I will be more confident of my status as a master of the beast department of the Xianjian sect. Xuan thought to himself. He continued to pick the fairy peaches, and then gently picked up the white light ball that appeared after the peaches matured. The light ball turned into countless tiny light points, and poured into his body. Harvest a 3rd grade fairy peach, and obtain the 4th grade desire pill recipe. The thought flashed through his mind, and a lot of information flooded into his mind, including the materials for refining the desire pill, the refining techniques, the precautions for making the pill, etc. Come on, even the recipe has appeared. After Xuan digested the recipe information that appeared in his mind, a helpless expression appeared on his face. After a while, he picked 7 mature fairy peaches, and 5 desire pills and 2 desire pill recipe experience packs were opened from the 7 white light balls. Before he even started to practice, he already had a lot of theoretical experience. Harvest a 3rd grade enchanting peach, and obtain the 4th grade treasure heart sutra of bliss. Just when he thought that the rewards of the light ball were all the enchanting pills in the pill recipes, suddenly, a different idea emerged in his mind. A light yellow jade silk appeared in Lu Xuan's hand. There were many obscene patterns drawn on the jade silk, intercourse in various postures, lifelike, and vivid on the paper. As he stared at it, the patterns on the jade silk moved on their own, connecting with the lust deep in Lu Xuan's heart. I don't know what the jade silk patterns other monsters see. Lu Xuan suddenly had a whim, and his mind moved. A tiny crack appeared in the void above his head, and a grey-white pupil crawled out of the crack, looking at the unfolded light yellow jade silk expressionlessly. Lu Xuan retracted his gaze, and looked at the palm of his hand. In the middle of his palm, a grey-white pupil appeared, sharing what the void nightmare eyes saw. The monk on the jade silk suddenly turned into a strange evil spirit with huge eyeballs, and countless silk threads spread out from the eyeballs, connecting two or more evil spirits together. There are even relatively small evil spirits that have completely merged into the eyeballs of larger evil spirits. It actually changes according to who is looking at it. Well, but is this what happens when the void nightmare eyes mate? If you love it, you have to eat it? Lu Xuan looked at the eyeball evil spirit in his palm and thought curiously. Chapter 341, Love Breaking Cone Foundation Building Pill Recipe. Or thought flashed through his mind, and his mind was focused on the pale yellow jade in front of him. The Heart Sutra of Bliss, a 4th grade treasure, depicts the experience of a Yuan elder of the Hehuan sect. It can activate the magic inside and perform lustful illusions, causing the target cultivator to lose his mind and sink into the sea of desire. After long-term observation, one can comprehend the way of yin and yang dual cultivation. This Heart Sutra of Bliss is somewhat similar to the pure yang true fire talisman. It can release powerful magic, and can also visualize and comprehend the magic of cultivation. So they are all physical rewards, rather than the cultivation method directly reflected in the mind. Lu Xuan sighed secretly. He glanced at the 18 postures in the jade, and rolled up the jade. However, once you look at this Heart Sutra of Bliss, the obscene static pattern on it will turn into a dynamic video, which will play automatically. It is difficult not to comprehend the way of yin and yang Hehuan. He put away the jade, and continued to pick the remaining fairy peach fruits. The rewards from the white light group are mainly the 4th grade desire pill, and occasionally there are desire pill recipe experience packs. When picking a good quality desire peach, a new reward will appear. Harvest a 3rd grade desire peach, and get the 4th grade magic weapon, the emotion breaking cone. A cone-shaped magic weapon appeared in Lu Xuan's hand. The surface of the magic weapon was painted with complex spiritual patterns, vaguely forming various vague expressions such as joy, anger, sorrow, and happiness. Lu Xuan's mind was focused on the cone-shaped magic weapon, and a piece of information flashed through his mind, and he immediately learned detailed information about the magic weapon. The emotion-breaking cone, a 4th grade magic weapon, can infinitely amplify the negative emotions in the cultivator's heart when it hits the cultivator, causing him to lose his mind and fall into a state of madness, and even cause him to transform into a monster. Another special magic weapon. Lu Xuan realized that the rewards from the Desire Peach Light group were very unique, and most of them were related to the cultivator's lust. As expected of an improper spiritual peach, the rewards of the light balls it blooms are consistent. The 3 magical peach plants produced 26 spiritual fruits. As they had not been carefully cultivated for a long time, most of them were of ordinary quality, and only a few were of good quality. Among the 26 light balls, the rewards were mainly desire pills, a total of 21 4th grade desire pills. Among the remaining 5 light balls, 3 rewards were desire pill recipe experience packs, which enabled Lu Xuan to reach the proficiency stage in this pill. The remaining 2 light balls were awarded with the 4th grade treasure Bliss Heart Sutra and the 4th grade magic weapon breaking love cone. Lu Xuan was already satisfied that 3 3rd grade spiritual plants could bloom so many generous rewards. He continued to search for mature spiritual plants in the spiritual field. The Kangyuan grass happened to be mature. Lu Xuan came to a spiritual plant and found that the translucent progress bar below was completely full. The appearance of the Kangyuan grass was ordinary, and at first glance it was not much different from the wild grass on the mountain. Lu Xuan's spiritual sense sensed that in a corner of the spiritual plant, there was a rich and pure plant spirit. A total of 20 plants of this kind of spiritual plant were planted. It was a female alchemist in the middle stage of the foundation building named Xuan in the Dan Palace who specifically asked Lu Xuan to help plant it. It is the main material for refining the foundation building pill. The reason why Lu Xuan took it was because he speculated that it was possible to make a foundation building pill or even a foundation building pill recipe from the light ball of the Kangyuan grass. He suppressed his inner expectations and carefully picked the Kangyuan grass. Kangyuan grass is a third-grade spiritual plant. During its growth, it will condense spiritual energy in a certain part of the plant and transform it into a special plant essence. It is the main material for refining the foundation building pill. Lu Xuan ignored the thought that flashed through his mind and focused on the spiritual field. A white light ball quietly appeared at the location where the Kangyuan grass was picked. He reached out and gently touched the ball of light, which exploded into countless tiny points of light, which contained a vibrant vitality, all of which flowed into Lu Xuan's body. Harvested a third-grade Kangyuan grass, and obtained a third-grade foundation building pill. A pill the size of a langan appeared in his palm, with spiritual patterns on the surface of the pill, and a faint light spread out, full of spiritual energy. It is indeed a foundation building pill. Lu Xuan was delighted. The familiar pill in front of him brought him back to the time when he was preparing to impact the foundation building realm. In just less than 10 years, the once uneasy key training cultivator has grown to the middle stage of the foundation building realm after hard training. Although the foundation building pill is only a third-grade pill, it has an important strategic position in the sect, even higher than the sword grass. After all, although the sword grass is rare and naturally fits the sword-fighting cultivators of the Xianjian sect, there are still substitutes, but the foundation building pill is irreplaceable. The materials, recipes, and techniques for refining pills are all firmly in the hands of the sect. Everyone who has the recipe of the foundation building pill tacitly keeps it from being spread out. Whoever has the foundation building pill holds the lifeline of the key training cultivator. Therefore, the third-grade foundation building pill is in short supply in the casual cultivator market, and its value far exceeds its grade. Lu Xuan carefully put away the foundation building pill and continued to explore the remaining Kangyuan grass. 20 Kangyuan grasses have entered the mature stage, and he immediately found another fully mature Kangyuan grass. After picking it, he picked up the white light ball that emerged. Harvest a third-grade Kangyuan grass and get a third-grade foundation building pill. The thought flashed through his mind, and another foundation building pill appeared in Lu Xuan's hand. Based on Lu Xuan's previous experience of picking spiritual plants and harvesting light balls as rewards, if a certain kind of pill appears, it is very likely that the corresponding pill formula experience package will appear, but the probability will be much smaller. He only had the joy of harvesting the foundation building pill in his heart, and he was confident that the foundation building pill formula would appear in the light ball. At the end, there was still one Kangyuan grass that was fully mature. The previous two mature Kangyuan grasses were of ordinary quality. This one was slightly better, of good quality. Lu Xuan was looking forward to it even more. He carefully picked it and put it into the gluttonous insect capsule. Then he reached out and gently touched the slightly flickering white light ball. The light ball suddenly exploded, and a strong vitality spread along with countless tiny light points and poured into Lu Xuan's body. A thought flashed through his mind. Harvest a third-grade Kangyuan grass and obtain the recipe for the foundation building pill. The thought disappeared, and then a large amount of information poured into Lu Xuan's sea of consciousness. Various materials for refining the foundation building pill, material processing, preparation methods, the requirements for the furnace fire, precautions for condensing the pill and taking the pill, timing. Finally, the experience package for the foundation building pill recipe has been opened. Lu Xuan felt a strong sense of joy. After absorbing a few more pill formula experience packs, I can try to collect alchemy materials and refine the foundation building pill. Although Lu Xuan absorbed a lot of pill formula experience packs such as Puan pill and Yunling pill, he only refined them occasionally. But it was different for the foundation building pill. If the conditions were right, he planned to start refining it. However, this foundation building pill formula is too important. It is better to refine it secretly and make the pill. Otherwise, if the sect finds out, it will be difficult to explain the origin of the pill. Lu Xuan thought secretly. Chapter 342, Staying Behind the Dragon. Of the 23rd grade Kangyuan grasses, 3 are fully mature, and the remaining 17 are not far from harvest. After a careful inspection, Lu Xuan cast the spirit rain technique, and strands of spiritual energy floated down, nourishing the ordinary Kangyuan grass. I left the sect for 3 years, and I didn't expect to harvest such a big harvest. When I came back, Lu Xuan was delighted, stretched his waist, and continued to inspect the other spiritual plants in the spiritual field. Not far away, although the 3 sword-raising goods were of the same grade as the Kangyuan grass, the cultivation method was different. Kangyuan grass can grow normally in the rich and pure spiritual environment of the inner sect, while the sword-raising goods need to absorb the residual sword intent in the flying sword. In addition, the planting time is shorter, so it will take some time before it matures. He took out some second-hand flying swords from the storage bag and piled them under the vines. During the trip to the secret realm, he obtained several storage bags, which contained some flying swords of good quality, which were most suitable for cultivating sword-raising goods. The green good hanging on the vine was originally in a gloomy state. After sensing the sword intent below, the good emitted a whirring sound of sword energy. Lu Xuan sensed a sense of excitement from the good. He came to the 4th grade 5-element fruit spiritual plant. A colorful spiritual fruit grew on the plant. The 5-element spiritual energy lingered around the spiritual fruit, naturally blending together and clearly separated. Lu Xuan sensed the state of the spiritual fruit, and released the corresponding 5-element spell, making the 5-element spiritual energy around the spiritual fruit flow more smoothly. Then, he came to the 4th grade soul-enriching pine. The soul-enriching pine had grown to a height of 1 person. It could sense the familiar breath of Lu Xuan from afar. The pine waves were rustling. Lu Xuan's mouth curled up, and his spiritual consciousness spread to the branches and leaves of the soul-enriching pine. A lively and pure thought came from the inside of the pine tree, tightly surrounding Lu Xuan's spiritual consciousness. The pine leaves swayed, as if questioning him, why he hadn't come to see him for a long time. Lu Xuan used his spiritual consciousness to constantly soothe and communicate with the 4 soul pines, which calmed down their thoughts. Perhaps because they had not communicated and cultivated for too long, the soul pines were extremely hungry for his spiritual consciousness, which made Lu Xuan feel that he could not resist. After satisfying the needs of the soul pines, he came to the cave of the earth fire tributary and jumped down. There was a sunken hole on the dark red stone wall, and the charred phoenix tree was lying quietly in it. There were countless dark golden cracks on the surface of the charred wood, and the cracks extended all the way, forming a pair of lifelike phoenix phantoms in the center. Sure enough, the 3rd grade red lotus flame left behind has been sucked up by it. Lu Xuan muttered softly. Before leaving the sect, he deliberately left a red lotus flame as a nutrient for cultivating the 6th grade ancient strange tree phoenix tree, but the difference in grade between the two was too great, and the red lotus flame had long been absorbed by the phoenix tree. This time when he returned to the cave, several red lotus flames bloomed from the flame fruit light group. Lu Xuan took one out. With a thought, the lotus flame quickly rotated and flew towards the phoenix tree. Layers of deep red petals burned and merged into the dark gold cracks in the charred wood. In a flash, the dark gold cracks were filled with red lotus flames, and a red lotus flew out from the center of the charred wood. Inside the lotus was a pair of thumb-sized phoenix phantoms, chirping and dancing happily. For a 6th grade phoenix tree, it is enough to cultivate it with a 3rd grade red lotus flame in the early stage of growth. After it grows to a certain stage, we can see if we can get a higher grade strange fire. Maybe by then, I will comprehend the pure yang true fire from the pure yang true fire scroll and use it directly to nourish the phoenix tree. Finally, there were 3 dormant dragon skeleton grass spirit seeds left at the bottom of the small lake. As soon as Lu Xuan arrived at the edge of the small lake, there was a loud splash, and a fiery red dragon flew out from the bottom of the lake. The dragon was 2 feet long, slender, and covered with red scales. The scales were filled with a faint fiery red spiritual power, and there was a red and crystal dragon horn on its head, which was extremely magical. It has grown so big, Lu Xuan couldn't help but exclaimed. When he went to Kangming Island, he left the young dragon in the sect. He didn't expect that 3 years later, the Lihojao, which was less than 10 feet long, had grown to its current size. The Lihojao growled at Lu Xuan, stretched out its head, and let Lu Xuan stroke the red dragon horn on its head. "Come out and see your old pendant." Lu Xuan released the fat bird. As soon as Feng Falcon landed, he felt the hot breath of the body in a daze, and jumped back quickly with a sensitive reaction that didn't match his body. The Lihojao looked at the fat bird that suddenly appeared, wanting to get close, but his movements were a bit unfamiliar. It was like a left behind child whose parents went out to work and came back a year later. Feng Falcon stared at the Lihojao, whose size had more than doubled, his eyes rolling around, and his limited intelligence felt extremely confused. How come the little thing that used to hang around his neck and feet suddenly became so big? Lu Xuan did not give the two children time to talk about their friendship, and released the rock turtle and the green-horned dragon carp from the gluttonous insect bag. "You will be the boss in this small lake from now on, and you must keep a good eye on these two little brothers," he instructed the Lihojao. "The rock turtle is naughty and lively, and the new growth environment has no effect on it. The heavy turtle shell swims happily in the small lake. The green-horned dragon carp stayed quietly in the corner, motionless. It was originally proud of having some real dragon blood in itself, and had a huge sense of superiority in front of the rustic rock turtle. But after coming here and discovering the Lihojao, it felt the powerful blood from the same source in the dragon's body, and this sense of superiority disappeared. It was honest and did not dare to make any rash moves. Lu Xuan took out the purple jade coral and placed it at the bottom of the lake. Then he came to the place where the dragon skeleton grass spirit seeds were hidden. The trip to Kangming Island has obtained the 3rd grade Xuan heavy water and the essence of spiritual essence. Finally, we can start cultivating the dragon skeleton grass. The 5th grade dragon skeleton grass spirit seeds have been placed at the bottom of the small lake. Unfortunately, they could not meet the cultivation conditions before, so they had to squander them and waste time. He took out the Xuan heavy water from the storage bag and controlled the 3 drops of spiritual liquid weighing more than 10 kilograms to fly out of the jade bottle, one by one, and ripped on the 3 strange stones with dragon skeleton grass spirit seeds. The black spiritual liquid silently seeped into the stone, and 3 slight but passionate dragon roars sounded. 3 light black and slender dragon shadows flew out from the strange stone, and the dragon shadows danced and rotated around the strange stone, and merged into the strange stone after a moment. The strange rock is the skeleton of a dragon that has been around for who knows how many years. Add to that the Xuan heavy water, and we can officially start cultivating dragon skeleton grass. However, it's better to use fresh dragon skeletons. There are so many dragons and chilungs in Qianlan Lake. It shouldn't be a problem to exchange a few skeletons with Huang Yuan or other fellow disciples. Lu Xuan thought to himself when he sensed a faint pressure coming from the dragon skeleton grass spirit seed hidden in the strange rock. Chapter 343, Spirit Seed Purchase. After cultivating the 5th grade dragon skeleton grass spirit seeds, Lu Xuan returned to the shore. In the spirit field, most of the spirit plants currently planted are of high grade and few in number, leaving large areas of empty space. He found a piece of spirit field and performed the earth drawing technique. The structure of the spirit soil changed slightly, and he placed more than 200 water firefly grass spirit seeds in it. Threads of spiritual rain seeped into the spirit soil, moistening the slender light blue spirit seeds. Afterwards, he transplanted the 3rd grade wind and thunder sword grass, starlight sword grass, and 4th grade sword thousand owl that were previously planted on the island into the spirit field. It's time to go to the General Affairs Hall to hand over this garrison mission, he thought secretly in his heart. However, before going to the General Affairs Hall, he decided to conceal his cultivation level of the middle stage of foundation building. It was really that the speed of cultivation improvement was a bit too fast. From being promoted to the foundation building realm, becoming an inner sect disciple, and then to the middle stage of foundation building, it took less than 10 years in total. Such a speed of advancement, even for the most gifted true disciples in the sect, can be called shocking and eye-catching. It is common for ordinary inner disciples to fail to break through for decades. If he showed his true cultivation in front of his fellow disciples, it would be difficult for him to explain why he cultivated so fast, and it might even cause some unnecessary trouble. Previously, he had used the breath retaining technique from the light ball, and he also had the hidden spirit cloak to restrain his breath. Unless someone deliberately spied on him, it should be difficult to detect his true cultivation. Xuan came to the foot of the mountain and summoned a tall and elegant spiritual crane to fly towards the mountain, where the general affairs hall was located. After a while, he entered a spacious hall and found the middle-aged cultivator named Xuan who had assigned him the garrison mission. Brother Xuan, I have completed the 3-year garrison mission on Kangming Island and just returned from that sea area. Xuan smiled and said to the middle-aged cultivator, "So it's junior brother Lu. How do you feel after staying on Kangming Island for 3 years? Have you encountered any danger?" The middle-aged cultivator had some impression of Xuan, except that it's a bit remote. There's nothing else to feel. The local customs and people on the island are obviously different from those on the sect. As for danger junior brother, I rarely leave the island, so it's hard to encounter such situations. Xuan said gently. He handed his inner disciple identity badge to the middle-aged cultivator and let the cultivator confirm the mission information. "Okay, junior brother, you have worked hard for the past 3 years. As for the mission reward, it was agreed that you will stay on Kangming Island for 3 years, and you will be subsidized with 320 sword seals each year, a total of 960 sword seals in 3 years. Please keep them. Thank you, senior brother Xuan." Xuan smiled. After collecting nearly 1,000 sword seals, he exchanged a few words with the middle-aged cultivator, surnamed Xuan, about his experiences on Kangming Island, and then said goodbye to him. "It would be unreasonable not to spend some of the sword seals I have received." His desire to spend was stirring in his heart. As an inner sect disciple and a member of the Sword Hall, he can receive a certain amount of sword seal subsidies every month. With the large sum just now, he already has no less than 3,000 sword seals in his hands. I can make a lot of purchases in the Sinner Hall. Xuan thought to himself, and ordered the spirit crane to carry him to the Sinner Hall. "Uncle Lu, here." Xia Chen, who had just entered the hall and had a weathered face, greeted from afar. Seeing an old acquaintance, Xuan couldn't help but feel cordial and came to the position of the old farmer. "Uncle Lu, you haven't come to the Sinner Hall to buy spiritual seeds for a long time." Xia Chen greeted warmly. "I received a sect garrison mission some time ago and was away for a few years." Xuan said simply, "I'd like to trouble you, Daoist Xia, to take out the Jade Book of Spiritual Seeds. I came here this time to pick some high-grade spiritual seeds. After the 3 4th-grade spiritual plants, the Earth Fire Heart Lotus, the mysterious insect vine, and the 100 Eyes strange wood in the courtyard, matured one after another. The spiritual field currently has the soul-bearing pine, the 5-element fruit that was planted instead, the 4th-grade magic sound bamboo, and the blood spirit palm ginseng, that was just cultivated not long ago." Xuan decided to add some more. The light balls that bloom from 3rd-grade spiritual plants are mainly 3rd-grade and 4th-grade treasures. Xuan is currently in the middle stage of foundation building. If he plants them now, they will mature in a few years, and the rewards they bloom will gradually become useless. Therefore, Xuan plans to slowly shift his focus to 4th-grade spiritual plants. For 3rd-grade spiritual plants, unless it is a similar variety such as the sword raising gourd that can bloom a 4th-grade sword talisman or the Kangyuan grass in the foundation building pill recipe, plant as few as possible. "Uncle Lu, please take a look." The old farmer monk presented a thick jade book with both hands and said respectfully, "The jade book has simulation images of relevant spiritual plants and simple information. If the image is lit, it means that the corresponding spiritual seeds can be provided immediately. If it is dim, it means that an appointment is required and a waiting period is required. The higher the spiritual seed variety, the more difficult it is to mass produce. There are about 50 kinds of 3rd-grade spiritual plants recorded in the Jade Book, and there are only about 20 kinds of 4th-grade spiritual plants. There is not a single 5th-grade plant. Fellow Daoist Xia, I have always had a question. Please help me solve it. I didn't see any 5th-grade spiritual plants in the Jade Book. Does it mean that the Sinner Hall cannot provide 5th grade spiritual seeds? Uncle Lou, 5th grade spiritual plants are already in the realm of forming pills. Each one is extremely rare and precious. The methods of condensing spiritual seeds are also strange and bizarre. Only by chance can you get 1 or 2. With the power of the sect, it is impossible to mass produce 5th grade spiritual seeds. If you need it, you can communicate with other true disciples in the sect to see if you can get it from them. Zia Chen suppressed his surprise and a trace of apology appeared on his face. He didn't expect that Lu Xuan actually had the ability to cultivate 5th grade spiritual plants. He recalled the scene where Lu Xuan bought different spiritual seeds from him. The boy who bought the 2nd grade spiritual plant with great care had grown to this level in just over 10 years. Is it too late for me to concentrate on being a spiritual plant master now? He couldn't help but feel a little shaken. I see. Thank you for your reminder, fellow Daoist Zia. Lu Xuan nodded gently. If you don't have 5th grade spiritual seeds, then buy some 4th grade ones first. He flipped through the jade book while pointing to the 4th grade spiritual plant pattern in a bright state. Give me 2 earth fire heart lotus spiritual seeds and 1 black insect vine spiritual seed. Lu Xuan first selected 2 spiritual seeds that he had cultivated. And this mayfly grass spiritual seed, I haven't seen it light up in the past few times. Give me 1 to try. In addition, give me 20 each of the 2nd grade flame fruit spiritual seeds and ice wisteria fruit spiritual seeds. These are for now, Lu Xuan said calmly, as if the 4th grade spiritual seeds were nothing to him. Yes, yes, yes. The old farmer monk nodded like a chick pecking at rice, holding a large order, and hurried into the inner hall. Providing 3 different types of 4th grade spirit seeds at once was not something that a key training monk like him could decide. Chapter 344 Mayfly Grass Spiritual Grass Beads. Soon, a foundation building cultivator walked out of the inner hall of the Sinner Hall. I was wondering who needed so many high-grade spiritual seeds. It turned out to be fellow Daoist Lu. The cultivator, wearing a plain green robe, greeted Lu Xuan with a smile. Fellow Daoist was hello. Lu Xuan returned the greeting. He had met this cultivator several times before. He had exchanged experiences in cultivating spiritual plants with Liu Su. I didn't expect that fellow Daoist Lu had such a deep attainment in spiritual plants that he would spend so much money to buy 4 4th grade spiritual seeds at the same time. These sword seals are almost all my assets. I have no choice but to love spiritual plants. I can't move when I see high grade spiritual seeds. I just want to buy them. As for whether I can cultivate them successfully, it depends on my own luck. Lu Xuan said nonsense. Fellow Daoist Lu, I think there will be no problem. In the previous communication, the cultivator had already understood Lu Xuan's attainments in spiritual plants. With a wave of his hand, all the spiritual seeds floated in front of Lu Xuan. 2 4th grade earth fire heart lotus spirit seeds, a total of 520 sword seals. Black insect vine spirit seeds, 240 sword seals. Mayfly grass spirit seeds, 270 sword seals. 20 flame fruit and ice radish fruit spirit seeds, each with 15 sword seals, a total of 600 sword seals. All spirit seeds have a total of 1630 sword seals. Thank you, fellow Daoist. A large number of small sword-shaped seals flew out of the storage bag. Lu Xuan took all the spirit seeds and said goodbye to the monk named Xuan. After a while, he returned to the cave with a spirit crane. Although it has been more than 10 years since the spirit crane's fertility problem was solved, the spirit cranes in the sect still refuse to accept Lu Xuan's spirit stones, so he had to feed them a spirit fruit as a reward. With so many new spirit seeds, I have to be busy for a long time. Fortunately, the cave in the inner sect is large enough to plant these new spirit seeds. Lu Xuan found an empty spiritual field, performed the earth drawing technique, and buried 40 flaming fruit and ice radish fruit spiritual seeds in the spiritual soil. Before leaving the sect, he chose the method of condensing the seeds of these 2 spiritual fruits. Unfortunately, he came back a little late, and all the spiritual fruits on the spiritual plants had missed the opportunity to condense seeds. So he had to buy some spiritual seeds again. The second is a black insect vine, which will produce the 5th grade space magic weapon gluttonous insect capsule after maturity. There are still some insect eggs of different grades used to cultivate the black insect vine. Lu Xuan took them out and put them into the body of the black insect vine plant. The insect eggs provide nutrients for the growth of the black insect vine, and the black insect vine secretes special spiritual objects to promote the growth of the demon insects. Then, he came to the branch of the earth fire and threw 2 fiery red lotus seeds the size of thumb tips into the hot magma. The last earth fire heart lotus matured and produced the 5th grade pure yang true fire talisman. The fire type spiritual plant light ball reward may be beneficial to the cultivation of the 6th grade phoenix tree. In addition, lotus seeds can purify evil auras and reduce the risk of alienation, so he bought 2 spiritual seeds. Finally, the 4th grade mayfly grass spiritual seed. The spiritual seed is like a spiritual energy ball that has been concentrated countless times. It is the size of an egg and contains a transparent mayfly, which changes life and death in that small world. Lu Xuan plans to plant this mayfly grass in a spiritual field, covered with wuling soil. He performed the earth attraction technique, and a tiny crack appeared, and the spiritual energy ball spirit seed was included in it. With his mind concentrated, a thought emerged from his mind. Mayfly grass, a 4th grade spiritual seed, is extremely delicate and needs to be carefully cared for during the cultivation process. If you are not careful, it will die. After maturity, it can be used to refine pills to enhance the soul of the cultivator. This mayfly grass is really rare, used to refine elixirs to enhance the soul. During the cultivation process, it needs to be carefully cared for, and there must not be any mistakes, otherwise it will cause the spiritual plant to die. This may be the reason why spiritual seeds are relatively rare. Lu Xuan secretly sighed in his heart. Anyway, he can grasp the real-time status of the spiritual plant at any time, and he does not have to be distracted by cultivation and adventure. It is not difficult for him to take good care of it. The spiritual plants in the cave have expanded a lot, and I have to work harder to cultivate them. From today on, I will be an ordinary spiritual plant master, cultivate spiritual plants, and raise spiritual beasts. Lu Xuan looked at the spiritual plants all over the mountains and sighed in his heart. For the next period of time, he stayed in the cave with peace of mind and spent every day with spiritual plants and spiritual beasts. Occasionally go out to see a few friends he met before. Half a month passed in a blink of an eye. Harvest a 3rd grade Zangyuan grass and obtain a 3rd grade treasure Nilinkaozu. Countless light points poured into Lu Xuan's body and a green spiritual bead appeared in his hand. The spirit seed exudes a strong vitality, which makes people feel close and comfortable. Lu Xuan's mind is focused on the emerald green spirit bead, and he instantly learns detailed information about it. The spirit gathering grass bead is a 3rd grade treasure. It contains pure and rich plant spirit energy, which can be used to practice corresponding exercises and refine corresponding instruments. It contains a large amount of plant spirit energy, which can be used to feed the grass puppet and replenish the greenwood source energy. The grass puppet had been fed with grass spirit essence liquid before, and from time to time, it would shoot a fine greenwood source energy, but it would consume the stock in Lu Xuan's body. Now with this 3rd grade spirit gathering grass bead, there is no need to worry about the cultivation of the grass puppet and the replenishment of greenwood source energy. His mind moved, and the grass puppet that was diligently patrolling the spirit field not far away came towards him with its huge head and 2 thin legs. The emerald green spirit bead was stuffed into the huge grey-black tumor on his head. Strands of plant spiritual energy spread out, and after a few breaths, the grey-black tumor turned green and continued to extend downward. The whole body of the grass puppet woven from the nameless grey grass turned green. Under the perception of the spiritual consciousness, the green spiritual bead slowly rotated in the huge grey grass tumor, and countless fine grass ropes merged into it, constantly absorbing the pure plant spiritual energy in the spiritual bead. Thank you for guarding the spiritual field during this period of time. I'll feed you some good things and change your skin by the way. Lu Xuan looked at the green grass puppet and chuckled. The grass puppet was not very intelligent. It only knew that the spiritual bead that had just entered the tumor was of great use to it. It ignorantly conveyed a grateful thought to Lu Xuan and continued to inspect the spiritual field with 2 chopstick-like slender legs. This was the 8th Kangyuan grass he had harvested during this period. The previous 7 light balls produced 5 foundation building pills and 2 foundation building pill recipe experience packs. The latest one produced a new treasure, the nailing grass bead that had just fed the grass puppet. There are 23rd grade Yuan grass, and there are still 9 left. When they are all mature, I will hand them over to Senior Sister Xuan in the Alchemy Palace. All of them have been successfully cultivated, and there are many plants of good quality. I should be able to give a satisfactory explanation to the Alchemy Palace. Maybe I can get another batch of Yuan grass spirit seeds, and by the way, I can get some foundation building pills and pill formulas in the light ball. Xuan thought happily, and went back to the house, to take out the 3 treasures he got from the secret realm. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 345, Soul Crossings and Incense Resentful Spirit Mud. A dark yellow incense stick with smoke from lotus and Buddha statues. A piece of black mud with uncertain shapes and resentful souls coming out from time to time. And a small emerald green sword with strong vitality. During this period, he went to the Sutra library several times, flipped through various books and materials in it, and found the origins of the incense stick and the black mud. The incense stick is called Soul Crossing Zen Incense, a 4th grade treasure. It is made by Buddhist monks collecting the incense of thousands of believers. It can calm the mind and save the resentment of ghosts. Lighting incense sticks during practice can also prevent the invasion of inner demons and maintain an excellent state of practice. The black mud is called resentful spirit mud, a 5th grade spiritual soil, which is mixed with rich resentment. It can be used to cultivate certain evil spirit plants and refine corresponding magic tools. Xuan randomly found a previously leftover spirit firefly grass spirit seed and tried it. He planted it in the resentful spirit mud. The spirit seed was soon invaded by the resentment inside and became a waste seed. The 5th grade special spiritual soil is unfortunately not available for the time being. There are no spiritual plants suitable for growing in the resentful spirit mud in the underworld courtyard. The 3rd grade Wuling soil that Xuan had obtained in the Langayu blessed land was spread on the surface of the cave spiritual field by Xuan, which has a promoting effect on most spiritual plants. Although the resentful spirit mud in front of him is 2 levels higher in grade, it has great limitations and can only be used on a few special spiritual plants. Among the 3 treasures, only the emerald green sword has not been found. Xuan is not in a hurry and inserts it into the Yangtze sword sheath for warming. The emerald green sword is not like the previous purple lightning sword and wind and thunder sword. After being inserted, it will be struck by lightning and thunder. Instead, it constantly feeds back to the ancient scabbard. In addition, the size of the sword body is suitable, so the scabbard, which has always disliked flying swords entering its own, accepts it immediately. Inside the house, the dark yellow incense sticks are burning quietly, and the Buddha statue formed by the smoke is smiling with a flower, full of zen, and the mellow and long fragrance lingers everywhere. Xuan sat quietly on a jade cushion, circulating the spiritual fluid in his danshan. It was rare for him to have time to practice the great 5-element gong. Suddenly, his spiritual consciousness sensed a movement in the flowing light array at the foot of the mountain. He opened his eyes, and a crack appeared along the palm lines, and then a grey-white pupil emerged from the crack. Through the vision, transmitted by the void nightmare eye, he saw a white jade ape and an elegant white phoenix rushing towards the mountainside. So it's an old friend. The 2 spirit beasts were the descendants of the spirit beasts that protected the Xianji insect, namely the white jade sky supporting ape and the black sky phoenix. Xuan hadn't seen these 2 thighs in the development stage for 3 years, and he missed them a little. He opened the array and his figure floated out like a wisp of white smoke. Welcome, welcome, I haven't seen you for a long time, and I miss you so much. He came to the mountainside and greeted the 2 spirit beasts enthusiastically. The white phoenix chirped, as if blaming Xuan for not being able to find anyone for so long. The little monkey, whose skin was as crystal clear as jade, hid behind the phoenix and popped out his little head. A tuft of pure white hair on the top of his head added a bit of mystery to it. I received a garrison mission for a sect, and I went on a long journey. I just returned to the sect recently. Lu Xuan explained with a smile. The two spirit beasts were extremely intelligent, so there was no need to worry that they would not understand. After not seeing you for so long, have you missed my spirit fruit, spirit wine, and roasted monster meat? Lu Xuan looked at the two spirit beasts with a smile and asked tentatively. TSK, TSK. Xuanshan Bailuan chirped excitedly, nodding its little head continuously to show its agreement. The exquisite monkey behind it came out, blinking its fiery red and crystal eyes, nodded gently, and then retracted behind the wings of the phoenix. After Lu Xuan left, the two spirit beasts would come to the mountain, where Lu Xuan was from time to time, just thinking about the spirit fruit banquet he often held. In the sect, although the monks who raised them were dedicated and responsible, the spiritual fruits had not changed. After eating them day after day for 10 years, they were already as tasteless as chewing wax, and could not taste any flavor. But here in Lu Xuan, the spiritual fruits are of high quality and rich in combination. The 100 fruit spiritual juice has a unique taste. In addition, the monster meat made by various cooking methods, as well as the special snacks that are unique in this family, let them enjoy the joy of food. For Lu Xuan, they even formed a certain dependence. Come on, use the ice and fire second heaven spiritual fruits to fill your stomach first. Lu Xuan waved his hand, and a large number of flaming fruits and ice radish fruits floated out of the storage bag and piled up into a small mountain of spiritual fruits. He poured cups of 100 fruit spiritual juice for the two guardian spiritual beasts and his own spiritual beasts. Try the specialty I brought from other places, the dried Kangming spiritual fish smoked by special means. He took out an exquisite jade box, which contained Kangming spiritual fish processed by different means. Some of them were smoked by unknown spiritual wood, with a rich fragrance that made people salivate. Wait a minute, I'll go grill some fresh ones. Some of the meat of the Kangming spirit fish was frozen with 100-year-old ice, and the meat quality was not affected at all. When it was taken out, it looked as if it had just been slaughtered, extremely fresh. After a while, he took out the grilled spirit fish, evenly divided it into several parts, and placed them in front of the spirit beasts one by one. The spirit fish itself tasted extremely delicious, and contained rich spiritual power. After being grilled by Lu Xuan with various spices, the beauty was even higher. The white jade sky supporting ape, the Xuanshan white Luan, and his own spirit beasts all ate with relish and enjoyed themselves. Try the enchanting fairy peach to relieve the greasiness, but although this spirit fruit is delicious, you can't eat too much. Lu Xuan took out a few pink and white enchanting fairy peaches, cut them into small pieces, and handed them to the Luan bird, the ape and other spirit beasts. According to the information obtained from the enchanting fairy peaches before, eating too many spirit peaches can enhance the charm of the eater, plus the miasma that can affect lust during the cultivation process. Lu Xuan was afraid that, if he took out too much of the peaches, it would cause the spirit beast's armor and wings to explode. When he thought of the scene of a group of beasts fighting, Lu Xuan couldn't help but shudder and drive away the picture in his mind. That picture is too beautiful, I dare not think about it. He looked at the many spirit beasts nervously, fearing that the situation would get out of control. Fortunately, there were not many peaches, and the spirit beasts only felt the deliciousness of the fruit, and did not have any other thoughts. After eating the peaches, seeing that nothing unusual happened, Lu Xuan was completely relieved. Can the two Taoist friends leave the sect on weekdays? After eating and drinking, Lu Xuan pretended to ask casually, "You can leave, but the distance is limited, and it can't be too long." The phoenix bird chirped crisply, conveying a thought to Lu Xuan. "I may need your help in a few years, and I hope you can help me when the time comes," Lu Xuan said solemnly. The two spirit beasts were fed so many delicacies by Lu Xuan that they had established a deep friendship with him. Seeing Lu Xuan asking this question, they nodded heavily. The white jade sky supporting ape seemed to sense that there was a fight. A hint of hidden excitement flashed in its shy eyes. It pointed behind its head, indicating that Lu Xuan could stimulate the hair it gave him. Long ago, the little monkey gave Lu Xuan a white hair, and said that, as long as it was within a certain range and the spiritual power stimulated the hair, it could arrive at the fastest speed. Seeing the promise of the second child, Xuan was more confident in killing the monk behind the holy infant fruit plant. Chapter 346, Alien Poisonous Insects. After finishing all the spiritual fruits and fish, the phoenix and the monkey's stomachs were slightly bulging, not to mention the fat bird Feng Falcon, whose feet were facing the sky, and whose round belly was like a small hill. TSK, TSK. The white phoenix made a crisp cry, and its black and white pupils were full of reluctance. Go back, go back. If you don't go back, the senior brother who raised you might be worried. I will stay in the sect for a long time in the future. If you want to improve the food, you can come to me at any time. Xuan smiled and waved at the phoenix and the little monkey. Hearing his promise, the Xuanshan phoenix and the white jade sky supporting ape were completely relieved. One disappeared directly from Xuan's cave, and the other turned into a white light and violently rushed through the formation. Xuan returned to the yard, cleaned up briefly, and let the fat birds and the others lie on the ground in various postures. The visit of the two spiritual beasts was just a small episode, and Xuan continued to live a simple and peaceful life as a spiritual plant master. Cultivate spiritual plants, raise spiritual beasts, and occasionally open a light ball to enjoy the anticipation of unknown rewards and the satisfaction of harvesting various treasures. Harvest a 3rd grade Kangyuan grass, and obtain a 3rd grade treasure, the nailing grass bead. Or thought flashed through his mind, and a emerald green spiritual bead appeared in Xuan's palm. Another nailing grass bead. Xuan raised the corners of his mouth, and put the emerald green spiritual bead into the gluttonous insect sack. After feeding the grass puppet a spiritual bead last time, it has not yet completely digested the rich plant spiritual energy in the spiritual bead. The whole body has slowly changed from the emerald green color when it just took the spiritual bead to the current gray-green color. It is estimated that it will take some time to completely return to normal. It has been more than 10 days since Xuan came to visit. During this period, 5 of the remaining 9 Kangyuan grasses have fully matured. 3 foundation building pills, a foundation building pill recipe experience package, and a nailing grass bead were opened in the 5 light balls. The other spiritual plants in the spiritual field are growing well. The 200 water fireflies that I planted after returning have grown a little. There are fluorescent dots on the slender blue leaves. When the breeze blows, it seems that the sky is full of twinkling stars. The flame fruit and ice radish fruit have all taken root and sprouted and drilled out of the spiritual soil. There are 2 kinds of seedlings. One is light red, like a flame that has just been lit, and the other is light blue. In the early morning, you can see the cold air lingering. Among the other spiritual plants, 2 earth fire heart lotus spiritual seeds float on the surface of the magma, allowing the hot magma to wash away. The deep red smoke inside is getting thicker and thicker, as if it will burst out at any time. In the black insect vine, several different kinds of demon insects have begun to attach themselves to the vines, and they have built insect rooms of different styles, which are clearly separated and do not interfere with each other. In the mayfly grass spiritual seeds, the transparent insects inside have increased in size a lot. Xuan estimates that it will not take long for them to break through the spiritual light ball and take root and sprout. The sword raising gourd that had been planted for quite some time before became full of vitality and entered a rapid maturity stage after Xuan dropped many second-hand flying swords to nourish it. Junior brother Lu, are you there? Just as Xuan was inspecting the spiritual field, a familiar voice sounded in his ears. Senior brother Jen, I'm here. Xuan's eyes lit up, and he immediately opened the formation. A black and white take-eye pattern appeared in the void in front of him, and it suddenly rotated and enlarged. A handsome monk in a white shirt emerged from the pattern. The monk had a head full of white hair, 1 black and 1 white pupil, and a bright divine light. It was Jepu, the true disciple who raised a pair of yin and yang kun fish. Senior brother Jet, you are here, and I'm honored to be here. Xuan said with a smile. I happened to pass by this area, and remembered that your cave was nearby, so I came to take a look. Jepu entered the yard under the guidance of Xuan. How are you, junior brother Lu? As soon as Jepu sat down, Xuan brought a fruit plate in front of him. Thank you for your concern, senior brother Jet. Overall, I'm doing fine. I was stationed on a bitter cold island for 3 years some time ago and just came back. Jepu nodded when he heard this. Junior brother, you helped me solve the fertility problem of the pair of yin-yang cunfish. A while ago, a new life was bred, and the grade was promoted one level higher than before, entering the 5th grade. Jepu said to Lu Xuan with a happy expression. Congratulations, senior brother Jet. With the help of the pair of spirit beasts, your cultivation will surely be able to go further and be promoted to the giant stage soon. Lu Xuan congratulated Jepu. Hahaha, thanks to your wonderful ideas, junior brother, you solved their reproduction problem for me. Jepu laughed heartily. The pair of yin-yang cunfish were ancient beasts. Their reproduction and promotion methods were extremely special. They needed to produce a pair of small spirit fish under the conditions of the intersection of yin and yang, and then devour the mother's yin-yang spiritual energy, to be reborn in nirvana. He practiced yin-yang Taoism, and most of his skills were on the pair of yin-yang cunfish. After they were promoted to 5th grade spirit beasts, Jepu's chances of forming a Dan also increased a lot, and he could be considered to have stepped half a foot into the Dan realm. Among them, Lu Xuan played a great role, and Jepu was grateful for this, so he gave Lu Xuan a sword order. When King Xuan showed obsession, he recommended it to the sect's Dan elder. But then again, junior brother Lu does have some skills in solving the problem of spirit beast reproduction. What do you mean, senior brother? Lu Xuan asked in confusion. I recommended you to a true disciple to raise insects before. His pair of poisonous heart-eating insects just gave birth to 3 larvae not long ago. Lu Xuan suddenly realized, and the true disciple who was wearing a black insect robe and was taciturn appeared in his mind, as well as the black mantises in his insect valley that like to slice living targets into slices, the white jade spiders that are prone to infighting, the poisonous heart-eating insects that hate each other, the yin fire ants that change into various forms. Turns out that the pair of 4th grade poisonous insects have successfully conceived. Yes, they gave birth to 3 larvae successfully, but one of them seems to have a problem. Jepu took a sip of the 100 fruit spirit juice. Junior brother Lu, you have experience raising poisonous heart-eating insects, so you should know something about them. Those poisonous insects contain all kinds of highly toxic substances, which can even kill cultivators in the middle and late stages of foundation building. On weekdays, they should be fed with various poisonous insects, poisonous fruits and other poisonous substances. Among the 3 larvae, 2 of them have no problems, but one of them, once fed with poisonous substances, will have a violent reaction, either falling into a coma, or vomiting and diarrhea, or going crazy, and almost mutated. Junior brother Zhang Jingshan tried every possible way to barely keep the larva alive, and gradually became fed up with it, so he planned to dispose of it. Is it a physical problem, or is the poison fed not suitable? The food fed makes no difference. It should be a physical problem of the larvae themselves. Junior brother Zhang judges that it is very likely that a mutation occurred during the gestation stage. Mutated poisonous insect. Lu Xuan muttered to himself. Why, junior brother, are you interested? To be honest, I have a strong interest in all kinds of spiritual beasts and insects. Lu Xuan answered truthfully. Then I'll take you over to have a look. Maybe you, junior brother Lu, have a connection with that poisonous insect. Jepu's black and white pupils lit up, and Lu Xuan instantly entered a black and white chaotic space. Chapter 347, Disaster Poison Body. In an instant, Lu Xuan appeared in a valley. The sudden appearance of the 2 people caused a violent reaction in the valley. Various insects made strange hissing sounds, which were endless. Lu Xuan felt something in his heart, and looked up. A black-robed monk appeared in front of him and Jepu. The monk had a dull expression, and the black robe on his body seemed to be woven by countless slender black insects. A black insect fell off his sleeve, and drilled into the valley. The sound of insects disappeared in an instant. When Zhang Jingshan saw Lu Xuan and the others, he pulled the corner of his mouth, and nodded with a somewhat stiff movement. Junior brother Zhang, I will bring junior brother Lu to your insect valley today. Okay, as you please. Zhang Jingshan left a few words, and allowed Lu Xuan to move freely in the insect valley. Revisiting the old place, Lu Xuan was filled with emotion, and came to the insect room he was once familiar with. He opened one of the rooms, and a knife light suddenly flashed in the darkness. Why, you don't even recognize me. Lu Xuan chuckled, grabbed the knife light with his palm, and crushed it to pieces. A giant mantis more than half a meter long walked out of the darkness silently. The mantis had a pair of forelimbs shaped like sawtooth broadswords, and the surface of the forelimbs was glowing with a dark light. The compound eyes protruding high on the top of the head observed Lu Xuan, and the forelimbs raised in the air below it, and the movements were extremely relaxed and returned to the darkness. This demon sword black mantis, whether it is the speed of attack, timing, or accuracy, has improved a lot compared to before. With one strike, ordinary third grade magic weapons will probably be cut off instantly. Lu Xuan sighed and continued to the next insect room. The second grade fire ants were not very intelligent, and they did not have much impression of Lu Xuan, who had fed them several years ago. They just retained the transformation rules that Lu Xuan had set for them. In addition, he also took a look at the jade spider that was as white as jade, and the 7-star glass worm that was still trying to excrete glass sand. Finally, he and Zhang Jingshan came to the insect room, where the 100 poison heart-eating insects were raised. There were 5 poisonous insects in the insect room, 2 large and 3 small. The 2 large ones were far away from each other, while the 3 small ones stayed together. Among the 3 larvae, Lu Xuan could tell at a glance that the so-called alien poisonous insect was obviously smaller than its brothers and sisters, and it was listless and not as active as the other 2 larvae. While Lu Xuan was observing, Zhang Jingshan took out 3 pale green toads from a black cloth bag. The toads were the size of a wash basin, and as soon as they appeared, they sprayed green venom at the 3 people. Zhang Jingshan waved his hand, and the 3 toads landed right in front of the 3 larvae of the 100 poisonous heart-eating insects. Large and small green bumps appeared on the surface of the larvae, and green pus shot out from them, each wrapping a toad. The toad struggled hard under the pus, but because of the huge difference in grades, it did not work for a long time, and was slowly decomposed and melted by the green pus. The 3 larvae excitedly rushed towards the green pus containing the essence of the toad's toxicity. With a strong suction through the mouth and nose, the green pus instantly entered the body of the larva without a drop left. After swallowing the green pus, the 2 larvae were surrounded by pale green poisonous smoke, which became more and more abundant. After being completely digested, the surface of the larva's body became radiant. The other larva had just swallowed the green pus, and everything seemed normal. But as time passed, there were different changes. The poisonous smoke that surged out of its body dissipated everywhere, appearing extremely disordered. Pale green spots appeared on the surface of its body, and smelly pus flowed out from it. It's like this again. Zhang Jingshan sighed softly, and moved the larva that showed abnormal reactions in front of him. With familiar movements, he took out a white jade talisman from the storage bag. The spiritual power was activated, and the holy white light on the talisman fell on the abnormal state of the 100 poison heart devouring worm larva, trying to maintain the larva's vitality. It's this larva. Once it eats all kinds of poisonous insects and fruits, it will have all kinds of adverse reactions, and sometimes it will fall into the brink of life and death. As far as I know, junior brother Zhang used similar methods to solve the larva problem before. But junior brother Lu, you can see that this is not a long-term solution. It can only barely maintain the life of the larva, and cannot let it grow well. Jepu said softly on the side. Lu Xuan nodded approvingly, indicating his affirmation. The pale green spots on the surface of the larva's body gradually disappeared, but the negative effects brought by swallowing the toad still existed. It lay motionless in the insect room, looking exhausted. Lu Xuan looked at the larva like this, and an idea flashed through his mind. The 100 poison heart-eating worm is a 4th grade demon worm, and this larva is a poisonous worm of a different species. If it can be raised, its strength should not be underestimated. After feeding it food, I can know the status of various spirit beasts very well. Maybe there is a better way to solve the problem of this larva. Lu Xuan thought secretly in his heart. The more he thought about it, the more possible it seemed, so he asked Zhang Jingshan next to him. Brother Zhang, I'm somewhat interested in this larva. I want to study the combination and refining of various toxins and do some related experiments. If you are helpless with this larva, why not offer a price and transfer it to me? He asked the black-robed youth tentatively. Zhang Jingshan pursed his lips and remained silent. Just when Lu Xuan thought he would refuse him, he uttered 3 words coldly. Give it to you. This poisonous heart-eating worm was cultivated by Xuan in the past. Although it is a 4th grade worm, it cannot grow normally due to its special physique. If it continues to be in his hands, it will die inexplicably at any time, so its value is greatly reduced. Hearing Xuan's question, he directly gave it a favor. "Ah. Then I thank Brother Zong very much." Xuan hurriedly thanked. He took the larva of the poisonous heart-eating worm back to the cave, waited for half a day, and when the larva recovered significantly better, he took out a poison pill from the storage bag. Previously, he dealt with the blood-robed monk and the short monk in the secret realm. There were many poisons in the storage bag, which should be enough to feed the larvae. He just wanted to learn about the information about the larvae, not to feed them formally, so he crushed the poison pill and fed as little as possible. The moment the larvae saw the poison pill, although it was in a bad condition, it still showed its love for the poison pill and couldn't wait to swallow the small piece of poison pill into its stomach. Xuan concentrated his mind and a piece of information emerged from his mind. The poisonous heart-eating worm, a 4th grade demon worm, a larval stage, a different species, has a body of evil poisons, can absorb and digest all kinds of poisons in the world, and refine the toxins for its own use. Limited by its weak body and special physique, it is extremely sensitive to all kinds of toxins. After swallowing, it will have various reactions. The stronger the poison, the stronger the reaction, and it may even be life-threatening. "Let me take this poison, even if I die now." Right square bracket. Chapter 348 The useless bug strikes back. I become an old grandfather? Poisonous body of misfortune. Xuan digested the thought that flashed through his mind and muttered to himself. It turns out that it has a special sensitive physique that can absorb and digest various poisons and refine toxins. But this physique is a double-edged sword. If you are not careful, there will be a risk of death. He noticed that after the larva swallowed the small piece of poison pill, gray and white lines appeared on its head, and the lines revealed a faint breath of death. However, the larva didn't care about it. Regardless of the discomfort of its body, it conveyed to Xuan the idea of continuing to enjoy the poison pill. The desire for poison is far stronger than fear. Xuan sighed and fed the remaining poison pill to the larva of the 100 poisonous heartworm. The larva swallowed it in one gulp. Xuan was worried about it and waited quietly by the side. Sure enough, after a while, the gray and white lines on the larva's head became more and more obvious, extending down to the tail. The body trembled slightly, giving people a sense of withering and death. Slowly, the gray and white lines became more and more dense, as if a gray and white flame was forming on the larva. Xuan hurried to check the current state of the larva. 100 poison heart devouring insect, 4th grade demon insect. After swallowing the 2nd grade corpse flame pill, a large amount of corpse poison gathered and spread in the body. Corpse flame pill, a poison pill made from the corpse oil of dead monks as the main material, contains severe corpse poison. It can be controlled by ice treasures to prevent the spread of corpse poison, and then use treasures with rich vitality to dispel the corpse poison. Fortunately, the detailed status shows the origin of the poison pill and gives a solution. Xuan's mind moved, and he took out a fist-sized ice crystal from the storage bag. It was the 100-year-old ice soul from the ice radish fruit light group. The 100-year-old ice soul was tightly attached to the larva. Under the influence of its extremely cold and pure breath, a thin layer of frost quickly spread on the larva's body, and the trembling body slowly calmed down. Seeing this, Xuan separated a strand of the King Mu Yuan Qi in his danshan and infiltrated into the larva's body. The King Mu Yuan Qi is the essence of the life of the 5th grade King Xuan deer, which contains extremely powerful vitality. Wherever it passes, the gray and white lines are like snow exposed to the scorching sun, melting rapidly. After dozens of breaths, all the abnormalities on the larva's body disappeared, and even the sequelae of swallowing poisons before were much better. The little heart-eating worm was stunned in place, and it seemed that it had not reacted. In its memory, it has never felt so comfortable. It usually feeds on poisons. Because of its special physique, it has an unparalleled desire for all kinds of poisons, but every time it swallows a little poison, it will experience all kinds of torture. It has experienced more than one trial on the edge of life and death, when it is still in the larval stage. Fortunately, Zhang Jingshan is good at controlling insects, and is a true disciple of the Xianji insect, which can pull it back from the line of life and death. Although the poisons cause it serious damage again and again, the larvae of the 100 poisonous heart-eating worms still enjoy the poisons and their original intentions remain unchanged. It was used to the previous experience, but after swallowing the poison, it felt an unprecedented relief. There is a clear difference between Zhang Jingshan and Lu Xuan's detoxification methods. After the larva swallowed the poison, Zhang Jingshan could only use his own cultivation and resources to forcibly break it according to the approximate nature of the poison. Although Lu Xuan's cultivation and resources are far inferior to Zhang Jingshan, he has a unique talent in controlling insects. As long as he feeds the larva a little bit of poison, he can understand the specific state of its body, prescribe the right medicine, and restore the larva to normal at the fastest speed and the best means. The larva excitedly spewed poisonous smoke at Lu Xuan, jumped lightly, and pounced on him. "I can't bear it." Lu Xuan knew that the larva was expressing its gratitude to him, but he still felt uncomfortable when he saw such a hideous insect covered with poison rushing towards him, and hurriedly grabbed the insect with his palm. "Follow me well in the future, and I promise that you will never have the same painful experience as before," he said to the larva in his palm. After the contract was signed, the larvae and Lu Xuan had a close relationship. Hearing Lu Xuan's words, the strange-looking head nodded slightly. "After swallowing some more poison, I guarantee that you will grow faster than your two brothers and sisters. When you return to the insect room, you can show off," Lu Xuan teased. It seems like a familiar plot. The parents have special identities, 4th grade demon insects, and powerful backgrounds. True disciples of the Xianji insect. They grew up in a small family, with other people eyeing them covetously. Insect room, and their brothers and sisters are extremely talented. Although I have a special talent, poisonous body, I behave like a waste. My strength is far weaker than my brothers and sisters. I'm ridiculed on a daily basis and even treated as a discarded chess piece and abandoned. Until I met a mysterious person who guided me on the path of cultivation, and helped me solve various problems encountered along the way. My strength improved by leaps and bounds. When I return to the insect room again, I can surprise and stun my parents, relatives, and the forces behind them, and give them a good slap in the face. Don't bully the weak young insects. What a waste's road to counterattack. The more Lu Xuan thought about it, the more excited he became. So, I have become the legendary all-powerful grandfather? Well, I make a living by growing spiritual medicine, so I'll call him Medicine Old Man. Lu Xuan put away this boring thought in his mind. After placing the larvae, he inspected various places in the spiritual field, performed different basic spells, and cultivated many spiritual plants. The rock turtle swam around very lively in the small lake. The Lihuojiao occasionally glanced at this little brother who appeared inexplicably. The green-horned dragon carp stayed in the corner, trying to reduce its presence. Under the lake, 3 hair-thin black shadows quietly poked out from the ancient dragon fossils. They were the dragon skeleton grass seedlings that had just broken through the stone. The purple jade coral occupied a corner of the lake bottom and grew quietly. The wind falcon lay by the lake, belly up, basking in the sun. The cloud-stepping lynx shuttled through the dense forest, and the two-headed armadillo occasionally emerged from the stone cave, holding a little bit of wuling soil, and bringing it to its own cave. In a remote corner of the mountain, pink miasma permeates below the peaches, exuding its unique charm. The grey vines of the demon ghost vine stretch out to form a vine forest, surrounding all the peaches, enjoying the aphrodisiac effect of the pink miasma on it. After a long time, it retracted the vines, and turned into an ordinary form, like a great venomous snake, crawling quickly in the spiritual field. When it encounters a favorite spiritual plant, it deliberately stops, and leaves a shallow trace of mucus, to mark it as its own. After returning from Kangming Island, the demon ghost vine discovered that many high-grade new spiritual plants appeared in this unique blessed land. This made it feel a strong sense of happiness. It regularly checks the spiritual plants that left marks every day, more punctual than the straw puppet. Everything seems calm and leisurely. Chapter 349, Difficulty of the Pill Recipe. In the spiritual field, the last 4 remaining Zangyoan grasses were fully mature, and Lu Xuan picked them one by one. Harvest 1 3rd grade Zangiuan grass and obtain a 3rd grade foundation building pill. Right square bracket asterisk 2. Harvest 1 3rd grade Zangiuan grass and obtain a 3rd grade foundation building pill recipe. Harvest 1 3rd grade Zangiuan grass and obtain a 3rd grade treasure, Nalinkeozu. The rewards from the 4 light balls appeared in Lu Xuan's hands, or mined one after another. So far, all the Zangiuan grasses entrusted to him by the Alchemy Palace have matured. None of the 20 Zangiuan grasses were damaged, and the survival rate was 100%. Among them, 13 were of ordinary quality, and 6 were of good quality. What surprised him was that he also harvested a high-quality Zangiuan grass. Lu Xuan speculated that it might be the result of careful cultivation in the early and late stages of the growth of the spiritual plant. 12 3rd grade foundation building pills, 5 experience packs for the foundation building pill recipe, and 3 3rd grade Nalinkeos were opened from the 20 white light balls. 5 experience packs for the foundation building pill recipes have enabled him to reach the mastery level in refining foundation building pills, which is equivalent to the experience of other ordinary alchemists who have been immersed in this for decades. 3 spiritual grass beads, 1 was fed to the grass puppet, and the other 2 were kept. After the greenwood source energy and the danshan was consumed, the spiritual beads were used to replenish the spiritual energy of plants and trees. It will take a long time for the 5-element fruit to mature. These 20 hidden essence grasses can barely be handed over to the Dan Palace. When teaching the outer disciples the experience of cultivating spiritual plants, an alchemist who was teaching at the same time became interested in his spiritual plant level, and entrusted him to cultivate hidden essence grass and 5-element fruit for the Dan Palace. The spiritual seeds were provided by the Dan Palace. Lu Xuan naturally accepted it happily, to get the spiritual seeds for free and grab the light ball reward. He took out a communication talisman and contacted the alchemist named Xuan in the Dan Palace. They agreed on a time and place. After confirming, Lu Xuan estimated the time and rode the Wind Falcon to the Dan Palace. Junior brother Lu, you are here. A yellow-shirted woman in the middle stage of foundation building was quietly waiting at the gate. When she saw Lu Xuan, she floated over and said softly, "It's been a long time since we last met. Senior Sister Xuan is still as elegant as ever." Lu Xuan smiled and returned the greeting. The two entered the alchemy hall. Under the guidance of Xuan, Lu Xuan entered an ancient and elegant room. Unknown incense was burning in the room, with a strong fragrance. There was also a huge and strange alchemy furnace in the middle. "Senior Sister Xuan, these are the 20 Tibetan yuan grasses you entrusted me to cultivate before. Please take a look." After the two chatted for a while, Lu Xuan took out all the Tibetan yuan grasses from the storage bag and floated in front of Xuan. Xuan's spiritual consciousness briefly scanned them and immediately understood. All 20 Tibetan yuan grasses are mature, and it seems that the quality is pretty good. Junior brother Lu has worked hard during this period, she said softly, picked up a Tibetan yuan grass and examined it carefully. Good quality Zangiuan grass. Junior brother Lu is indeed a top-ranking spiritual plant master in the sect. Xuan exclaimed. "Huh. There is another top-quality one." She opened her mouth slightly and exclaimed. She was able to go out and teach the outer disciples the experience of alchemy, so she naturally had a very high status in alchemy, and she also knew how difficult it was to obtain a top-quality 3rd-grade spiritual plant. Many alchemists in the alchemy hall personally cultivated the spiritual medicine for refining the foundation building pill, but they focused on cultivation and alchemy, so they naturally didn't spend too much time cultivating spiritual plants. When it came time to harvest, there were often inferior spiritual plants, and even if there was a slight accident, the spiritual plants would wither and die. It was difficult to achieve a 100% survival rate, and the inferior spiritual plants planted would also reduce the success rate of alchemy. If the spiritual plants were handed over to the sect's spiritual plant for cultivation, the survival rate would be greatly improved. But after all, they were 3rd-grade spiritual plants, and the difficulty of cultivation was high. After maturity, the quality was mostly ordinary, with occasional good quality or inferior quality. Xuan had never seen any of the best quality plants. The higher the quality of the spiritual plants, the higher the success rate of the pills when refining them, and the better the quality of the pills. Not only were all the 20 Kangyuan grass plants of Lu Xuan mature, but none of them were inferior, and there were even several plants that were good or above. How could Xuan not be satisfied with this? Her smile became even bigger, and her eyes looking at Lu Xuan were a little softer. According to the previous agreement, if you successfully cultivate a Kangyuan grass plant, you will be rewarded with 10 sword seals. There will be additional rewards for high quality plants, 20 sword seals for each good quality plant, and 10 sword seals for the best quality plants. 20 Kangyuan grass plants, a total of 280 sword seals. Junior brother Lu, please check the number of sword seals. Xuan said, and a small pile of sword seals floated in front of Lu Xuan. There is no problem with the number. Lu Xuan's spiritual sense scanned and confirmed. Xuan smiled and watched Lu Xuan put away the sword seals. Although the reward for 20 Zhangyuan grass was more than before, she was eager for it. After all, more sword seals meant better quality Zhangyuan grass, which was extremely precious to alchemists. Lu Xuan was also satisfied when he took the sword seals. 280 sword seals were worth the same as a 4th grade spirit seed, which was worth his hard work in cultivating. Not to mention the many foundation building pills, pill formula experience packages and spirit gathering grass beads that appeared in the light group. The Alchemy Palace won, and Lu Xuan won a lot. Excuse me, junior brother Lu, are you willing to continue this cooperative relationship with the Alchemy Palace? Xuan put away the Zhangyuan grass and asked tentatively. Of course I'm willing. Lu Xuan did not hesitate at all. I don't have anything else. I just like to deal with flowers, plants, animals, birds, insects and fish. If senior sister asked me to explore a secret realm and hunt some kind of monsters and evil spirits, I might still have trouble. But if you want me to cultivate spirit plants, that's a piece of cake. Lu Xuan continued to consolidate his image as an ordinary spirit plant master. Okay, in view of your good cultivation results this time, I will apply to the elders of the alchemy hall for more varieties of spiritual plants to give to you, junior brother. However, the spiritual plants and seeds still need to be prepared and coordinated by the Sinner Hall. The spiritual seeds will be sent to your residence soon. Thank you, senior sister Xuan. Lu Xuan said with sincere gratitude. By the way, senior sister, are the newly provided spiritual seeds also materials for refining foundation building pills? That's right, the demand for foundation building pills is large, and the difficulty of refining is high, so there is a greater demand for corresponding high-grade spiritual plants. If the relevant spiritual medicines are leaked, will the formula of foundation building pills be studied by other cultivators? It's not that simple. A hint of pride appeared on Xuan's face. Many cultivators, families, and small sects in the world know the materials needed to refine the foundation building pill, but they are unable to refine it. The first hurdle is the inability to quantitatively cultivate the corresponding spiritual medicine. After all, there are many third-grade spiritual plants in the refining materials, and they cannot be cultivated casually. Further on, there are various hurdles, the most important of which is the inability to know the specific pill formula. So they don't know how to handle the spiritual medicine, the amount of spiritual medicine to put in, the main and auxiliary spiritual medicines, the control of the pill fire, the timing of taking the pill, etc. The pill formula is the most difficult part for other cultivators to refine the foundation building pill. Xuan said solemnly. Lu Xuan nodded in agreement, secretly complaining in his heart. Is the pill formula difficult? Isn't it just a variety of spiritual plants, and you can get it by opening the consecration group? Chapter 350, Scolding the Beast. Although Lu Xuan disagreed in his heart, he did not show it on the surface. Senior sister Xuan is good at alchemy. If there is a chance, I will definitely ask her for advice. He said humbly. Junior brother Lu, you are too polite. Junior brother is good at cultivating spiritual plants. I can choose the spiritual plant species according to the needs. It is indeed quite suitable for refining pills. That's true, but unfortunately I'm dull in the way of alchemy. I only know how to refine to low-grade pills. Lu Xuan looked gloomy. The experience of alchemy depends entirely on the pill formula experience package in the light group. He added in his heart. Everything depends on human effort. I believe junior brother Lu will definitely achieve great success in alchemy. Xuan encouraged with a smile. Lu Xuan raised his eyebrows slightly. You are really good at judging people. After the two chatted for a while, Lu Xuan said goodbye to the yellow-shirted woman and returned to the cave, but found an uninvited guest. Junior brother Xuan, why did you come here without telling me? Please come and invite him. The visitor was Xuan, who was in charge of the dragon and python in Qianlong Lake many years ago. Uncle Lu. Xuan bowed respectfully. I went into the inner sect to look for Uncle Yang Feng for something. I learned from him that Uncle Lu had returned from another place, so I came to visit him. You are thoughtful. Lu Xuan nodded gently and led Xuan into the cave. Looking at your cultivation, I guess you are not far from breaking through to the foundation building realm. He served the spiritual fruit and brewed a pot of spiritual tea with a smile on his lips. It has been quite a while since I reached the perfect stage of key training. Recently, I have been honing my spiritual power, body, and soul to prepare for the breakthrough to the foundation building realm. Xuan answered truthfully. Well, I will definitely succeed in one fell swoop. Lu Xuan encouraged Xuan and shared with him his feelings when he broke through the realm at that time. Uncle Lu, you haven't come to Qianlong Lake to see the former dragons for a long time. All the fellow disciples in Qianlong Lake miss you very much. Xuan suddenly said. After chatting with Lu Xuan for a while, Lu Xuan had been away for 3 years. The hundreds of thousands of dragons in Qianlong Lake had not had their blood drawn for a physical examination in the past few years, which made him and other fellow disciples worried about the health of the dragons. After hearing that Lu Xuan had returned to the sect, they sent Xuan, who had a certain friendship with Lu Xuan, to invite him to give the dragons a physical examination. Okay, I'll go to Qianlong Lake with you to see those dragon cubs and draw blood from them for a physical examination. Lu Xuan understood Xuan's almost explicit tone and agreed readily. Last time, even the dragon blood drawn the day before last has not been used up until now. Lu Xuan was prepared for a rainy day and took this opportunity to search the dragons again. At present, he needs to use dragon blood for a bloodbath in his cultivation of Texuhualangpian. The demand for the 5th grade blood evil flower is huge. Recently, a 4th grade blood spirit palm ginseng has been added. It is better to store more to be prepared. Thank you, Uncle Lu. I will arrange for them to get ready. Xuan said happily. On the 3rd day, Lu Xuan returned to the cave with thousands of bottles of dragon blood that were still warm. Fortunately, there are enough bottles, otherwise there would be no place to put the dragon blood. He sighed and entered the spiritual field to inspect the growth of many spiritual plants in the spiritual field. A few days later, Lu Xuan stayed in the spiritual field. Spiritual power surged, and strands of spiritual rain fell, nourishing the spiritual plants in the spiritual soil. The whole mountain seemed to be covered with a thin layer of mist, hazy and ethereal. Junior brother Lu, are you there? A senior brother in the late foundation building stage has something to ask you. I will bring him to visit you. At the foot of the mountain, a soft female voice came from outside the Liaguan Fuere. Yes, senior sister Liu. A quiet and fair face appeared in Lu Xuan's mind. It was Liu Su, who was also good at cultivating spiritual plants. The two had entered the Langai blessed land together. He hurried out to greet them. In addition to Liu Su, there was also a burly young monk. The monk was naked from the waist up and wore a short skirt made of animal skins around his lower body. His muscles were knotted, and there were many strange patterns on his chest and back. The patterns changed quietly with every breath, like a demon beast lurking in the monk's body. Brother Zhang, this is junior brother Lu Xuan. Junior brother Lu, this is senior brother Zhang Heo. He is very low-key and not well known, but he has the cultivation level of the late foundation building. Liu Su introduced the two. So it's senior brother Zhang. We met once in the secret realm, where the King Xuan deer was. I wonder if you still remember him? Lu Xuan said with a smile. He had some impression of this burly monk. At that time, he was invited to solve the obsession problem of the King Xuan deer. Among the other foundation building monks, this person had the highest cultivation level. Junior brother Lu easily solved the obsession of the King Xuan deer at the last moment, which left a deep impression on Zhang. The burly monk said in a rough voice. At that time, he originally thought that he had the best chance of solving the risk of the King Xuan deer's transformation among the several people. Unexpectedly, Lu Xuan, who had just broken through to the foundation building stage, performed far ahead, and solved the dying obsession of the 5th grade King Xuan deer alone. Brother Zhang, you are too kind. I'm just lucky, Lu Xuan said modestly, and welcomed the two into the courtyard. I wonder what important matter is Brother Zhang coming here this time. To be honest, I'm a little famous in the sect for controlling beasts, and I have raised many high-grade rare and precious spirit beasts. But recently, a pair of spirit beasts have become difficult. I tried many methods, but I couldn't solve them smoothly. I learned from other fellow disciples that you, Junior Brother Lu, have solved many spirit beast problems for other fellow disciples, so I specially asked Junior Sister Liu Su to help introduce them. The burly monk paused and said slowly, "Oh, I don't know what the specific problem is. If I'm a little sure, I will definitely do my best to help you," Lu Xuan promised. "That's right. I have a pair of Kaiyin beasts, one male and one female. They are rare 4th grade spirit beasts with strong talents in water and thunder magic. Recently, the female beast has entered the estrus stage and actively asked the male beast for it. According to common sense, the two beasts will mate and reproduce, but during the mating process, the male beast showed an extremely abnormal reaction. As the relationship between the two beasts deepened, the male beast gradually lost his mind, as if he was sinking into endless desire. What's more terrifying is that he has an unusual desire for his mating partner. It seems that he wants to eat the female beast." "Eat the female beast?" Lu Xuan asked in confusion. "Yes, he did bite the female beast's flesh and swallow it, and it happened 3 times in a row, and he even swallowed it. I stopped it and separated the two beasts. It was not until the desire subsided that the male beast regained some reason," the burly monk said in detail. "Seeing is believing. Please take me to your cave to see the Kaiyin beast," Lu Xuan said confidently. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.